Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear us? Can everyone hear me? A huge welcome. So I want to know, can everyone hear? All the girls here? Perfect. So I am Caroline, I'm founder of Pocket PA, and I
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Can everyone hear us?
Can everybody hear okay? Perfect.
Yep.
So let's try again. So this is our space launch event, our first live stream event, and I'm so thrilled to have so many people signed up. We've got people from Australia to Cornwall, we've got people on the west coast of America and Canada, Scotland, even my mum is watching. She's had her rollers in, she's had her rollers out. I know she's got her slippers on, and she's watching on her iPad. My kids, my sister. So yeah, I'm just really excited. It's really exciting, humbling, and very scary. So I've not done anything like this. My disclaimer is that this is not a BBC production. Hollywood and Steven Spielberg are not going to be calling, I don't think, after this, but we're real people and we're hoping to make this entertaining a little bit. We want to share with you some really valuable small business information to help and support your own small business today. We've had to be very resourceful during COVID. We had just relaunched Pocket PA version 2 in January and February 2020, and never in a million years was I expecting to have to be putting on a live stream quite so soon. And to have all of this sequence of events. So it's a really big challenge for a technophobe like me. I've already demonstrated and shown you exactly what my capabilities are on a live stream, but this is my first one, and I'm really passionate about wanting to grow our micro business and the self-employed community. So what better way than to bring us all together today for something that involves everybody. There's a whole spectrum of different speakers today to help lots of different small businesses. The weather is on my side because you won't be topping up your tan today. The sun has gone in, so hopefully there's more people sitting inside than out, but yeah, you can watch it on your sofa or in the garden if you've got good weather. But the silver lining for me during this period is that having launched the app, I have had some amazing Pocket PA angels come and show up from the universe, and without any further ado, I would like to share 4 of my angels which are helping me today, and without them the day would not have been possible. I wouldn't have had the courage to do it. So they're all going to give a little introduction because they're going to be helping me host the whole day with the different speakers, and so they're all on standby. We've done some mic checking, and hopefully everything is going to work and be on our side now. So they're going to just tell you a little bit about their journey with COVID, and we're just going to start off with Maddie. So Maddie, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie. I'm currently furloughed like a lot of people in the UK. I'm at home in Crawley with my parents, much to my dismay. So I originally connected with Caroline when I saw she was looking for some people to do some writing. So I've been doing some writing for her blog, which is available on the Pocket PA website. And then a few weeks ago, she came up with this idea to do a live stream. So since then, we've been all working really, really hard. Been meeting up regularly. So yeah, we hope you enjoy it.
Hi everyone, I'm Rose. So, but like Maddie, you know, I kind of came across Caroline, and it's been a silver lining due to COVID. You know, I've been kind of out of work. I was in between jobs at the time, so I found myself back in Northern Ireland again, living with my parents. So for the past couple of weeks, it's been great to kind of, you know, be part of this journey. And it's such a great kind of platform. So we really hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Hi everyone, I'm Matilda. I'm just like Rose in between jobs when COVID struck, so currently being here, I've gone back and moved in with my parents in Cambridge and normally based in London. I came across Caroline when she was asking people to do some writing for her blog, and so I just started doing that for her, and then she came up with this idea of doing a live stream and asked if I wanted to get on board, and I'm really glad I did. It's been really fun. We've all been working really hard at it, and we've all learned a lot doing it. It's not something I'd ever expected that I would do, and it's been really rewarding, and I really hope you enjoy the day.
Hello, I'm Molly. Yeah, just like the rest of us, I'm also furloughed. I was in London, and I've had to come back to Plymouth, back in my 16-year-old bedroom with my makeshift bedsheet as a backdrop. But
You find it, Molly.
I saw Caroline's opportunity, and it just thought, what better way to spend my time than helping women in business and helping everyone on Caroline's platform. So yeah, that's me.
Fab. So those are my angels, and they're going to be helping today to host all of the speakers. So I wanted to just let you know a little bit about what we've got lined up for you today. 10 o'clock, we're starting off with Tina Boden. She is a micro business specialist. She has been doing this for 30 years, although when you see her, you won't believe it's 30 years. She works with Tony Robinson, and they've co-founded Microbiz Matters, and they host an annual event in January each year, and have worked tirelessly for micro businesses. So it's a real great honour and pleasure to have her open our live stream event today. You are going to love her. There is only one Tina, and you will see shortly what she's all about at 10 o'clock, and Matilda's going to be hosting that at 10. That will be until 11, and at 11, Rose is hosting our social media influencer of 2019, Jay Wells. He is all things social. He is a podcaster, a YouTuber, very full of beans, and you've got a real treat in store with Jay coming up at 11. 12 o'clock, Tania Diggory, who's the founder of Karma, and she's going to hopefully lead us into some lunchtime zen. She will be talking about mental health, which is massively important at this time. I think it's really exposed mental health more than ever just this whole period, and about how it's going to affect us in a small business. And so I think it's really important that we allocated a slot for Tania to share her valuable work with us. We're having a lunch slot from 1 until 1:30. We're going to be putting up a holding screen between each of the speakers just for a few minutes, and then for the lunch hour at half an hour slot. So you'll be able to get up, shake yourself, have something to eat, put the kettle on, etc. And then at 1:30, I'm doing my slot. I'm doing 3 online tools to help your small business that's going to make your life easier for sure. And I'm doing that with Rose. And then at 2:30, we've got Jo Smiley Haley from Striking Places. Yes, she really is called Jo Smiley Haley. You'll see that when you meet her at 2:30. She's going to be talking about how to set up your Google My Business. And we're also going to have a guest appearance. We've got a real live person to do the event with, Nina. She's going to get her own business on the Google radar. And then to close off, we've got 3:30, we've got Rachel Baltram from Bulldog Accounting. She's a chartered accountant showing us how we don't need to be fearful of business expenses, HMRC, and we're going to hopefully have a little guest appearance from Esme, which is her real life bulldog as well. So that will be a treat if Esme's not having a nap. So the hour slot is going to be split into a brief introduction from our speaker with the Pocket PA Angel, who's hosting the hour. They're going to give us a little bit of a background about their business and how they've been managing in this COVID period. They're then going to share their knowledge with us and content with maybe some slides or just a speaking part. And then we're going to have a 10 to 15 minute Q&A session at the end, hopefully. So please use the comments section below if you're in Facebook or on YouTube to put anything that you'd specifically like to ask any of the speakers, and then we'll do our best to put those to them at the end. There's going to be a little 3 to 4 minute slot between each speaker. We'll put up a holding screen letting you know who's going to be the next one on. And at the end, just to let you know that we're going to be sending out notes to everybody that's registered on Eventbrite. So they're going to have each person's talk collated onto just an A4 piece of paper for each speaker, and that's going to be sent out, and the Pocket PA Angels are going to be doing that. So don't worry if you miss anything. You don't need to be writing copious amounts of notes. The idea, this is supposed to be stress-free. It's not going to be anything where you need to feel anxious. It's just going to be a few takeaways that will hopefully support and move your business forward with some practical information. Next week, just to let you know, we're going to be doing this all over again, or just myself will be. We've got another free workshop going on where we're going to be covering off everything to do with Pocket PA. So obviously that's my company, and that's what we're going to be doing next Thursday, the 11th of June. Details are all going to be emailed out, and it will be on our social channels. Please give us a like and a follow on our Instagram and Facebook pages. We're at Pocket PA Mobile, so please come over. We really want to get to know a lot more of you, so we can only do that by interacting with you on our social platforms. We're huge champions of micro businesses, and we need to know about you and to support you in order to do that. So just to recap, we've got 3 speakers happening before lunch. We've got a half-hour break and then 3 speakers after lunch, and we'll be closing about 4:30. I was asked if we were going to be raising any money for the NHS. They have been doing an absolutely massive job, and I know that some other platforms have been doing conferences where they've been asking for donations. I'm very mindful that as a micro business owner, a lot of people that are going to be watching will not be having spare cash. So we aren't looking for any donations at all. I would like to just ask for you to pay it forwards with the currency of kindness. To support each other in micro businesses. I'd like us all to try and shop small, think about using the micro business owner on our journey and recovery into the wake of COVID. And so if you enjoyed today and you'd like to share your gratitude for us putting the event on, I think the best way to do that is to support other micro businesses. Just let us all grow our small businesses together and just be really mindful of being kind. So without any further ado, I'm just going to put up the holding slide. We're just going to have a few moments just to check Tina's everything's all set up, and she's going to be our next speaker. So, whoops, that's the first hiccup there. There we go. So yeah, it's just going to go quiet for a few moments while we just prep and get Tina all ready, and then she will be taking off at 10 o'clock with Matilda. And so we'll look forward to starting the full day at 10.
Right, hi everyone. Good morning. I have the very great pleasure of introducing to you our very first guest. So who better to kick off our lockdown learning day than the lovely Tina? She is the micro-business specialist. She's run her own micro-businesses in different sectors for nearly 30 years, as well as having co-founded Micro-Biz Masters. She is so passionate about micro-businesses and improving everything to do with them. Tina and I met, well, we virtually met the other day, and she's so brilliant. I know that you're going to have a really great time listening to what she has to say to you today. She's going to be discussing whether running a micro-business is right for you, looking at the 5 W's, what, where, why, who, and well-being that you will need to know before starting your own micro-business. There really is no better person for you to ask your questions to, so please keep them coming in throughout the hour for Tina to answer for you. So without any further ado, hi Tina, welcome to PA Livestream.
Good morning, Matilda. Are you okay?
I'm good, how are you?
I've got a bit of reflection on my glasses, but I'm at that age in my life where I can't see very well without them, and yeah, I'm too vain really to wear them. But anyway, here I am. I can't see you if not, so I'll be like this. Morning, Matilda. Yeah, good morning, everybody, and welcome to sunny Scarborough in North Yorkshire, where it's not actually that sunny, but it's okay because we've got plenty of gin and some gin glasses as well. So it's all good.
That's what we wanted in the morning.
Is it too early for gin? I mean, it's like this whole lockdown thing has been really weird, hasn't it? It's like you don't know what day it is, you don't know what time of the day, and then all the sunshine that we've had, you've been thinking that you're on holiday. So yeah, anyway, the joys of being a micro business owner, but I've upped my game today. I've got out of my pajamas. Look, dress up.
Yeah, we feel very honoured.
I know, and I've even tried to straighten my hair, but if you see my picture with the really curly hair, you'll understand why trying to straighten it is just like a nightmare. So for all you wonderful hairdressers and beauticians out there, you have my every sympathy. I'm blessed. My family is full of plumbers. I have a house full of leaking taps and things, dripping taps and things at the moment, and hairdressers, and I have the graced roots. And yeah, desperate for a do, but aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Yeah, me too with these right here.
So yeah, I'm Tina Boden, and actually I have been running my own micro businesses for over 30 years. I'm 52, and I'm quite proud of being 52 as well. Us old women know a thing or two, and so for all you young folk, I've got a son who's 28. And has 2 daughters of his own, and his partner's a hairdresser, so very lucky there. Yeah. Just can't get close enough to her at the moment. And I have another son who's 21. So my 21-year-old, he runs his own plumbing, heating and tiling business. He and our youngest son, Charlie, they're in business together with an online gymwear that's had to take a bit of a back step at the moment, as have many businesses. I am 3rd generation self-employed. So my granddad had a corner shop in Lancashire. My parents have always run pubs and hotels. And I've done all sorts of things, mainly, well, all customer facing. As you said, I co-founded Micro-Biz Matters back in 2012 with a friend, Tony Robinson, OBE. So if you recognise the name Tony Robinson, you're probably thinking about Baldrick out of Blackadder, if you've ever seen it, or the Time Machine Man. This isn't that Tony Robinson, I'm afraid. This is another one. This is Tony Robinson, OBE. And his OBE stands for Old Bugger of Enterprise, because he's been campaigning for years and years for micro businesses before I got together with him, and we co-founded Micro-Biz Matters. So micro businesses, the definition of a micro business is one that employs 0 to 9 people. And 95% of UK businesses are micro businesses.
Wow.
So it's an amazing number, and 70% of those are actually 1-person businesses, so sole traders, freelancers, or anything like that. So you, for example, Matilda, as a freelancer, you're in 70%. Yeah. And there's been a lot of discussion with government over the years about lifestyle businesses. Now, I believe that when you run your own business, especially a micro business, you do it for a lifestyle reason. It might be that you want to be able to work when you want to, although that is a bit of a misconception, because as you well know, when you run your own business, you're working more hours than you ever worked before. But you can fit them around things, and that's great.
Yeah, it's like flexibility with that.
Some people want to be their own boss because they think they're going to earn loads of money. Let me just put you straight there. Actually, the average micro business owner earns, I think it's between 24 and 27,000 a year. So the likelihood 1 in 6 businesses become growth, high-flying businesses. But don't let that put you off. I have, as I say, been running my own business for 30 odd years. I had a very brief employed period at the end of my 30s. I'd set up a children's clothes and shoe shop, and I'll probably share a bit of that experience as we go along. Right at the beginning of the credit crunch. So it was a horrendous time to start a business. Probably not quite as bad as we're going through now, but it was bad. It was bad in retail, I tell you. And yeah, I nearly went under, but I was too proud to go bankrupt. So I decided that I would take a paid job. I'm unemployable, basically. Nobody. I had 3 paid jobs. I said to my parents, I'm going to get myself a proper paid job. And I mean, they'd been self-employed and they told me it was a ridiculous idea. Now, most people's parents are proud of them when they say they're going to get a job.
Yeah.
I was nearly 40 and I'd been self-employed all this time. And anyway, they were right. It was a ridiculous idea. But through that employed period was when I met Tony. So some good things came out of it. But the other piece of research that's very interesting is the fact that people that own their own businesses, especially micro business owners, are happier than any other employee. Now, I think that research was maybe done pre-coronavirus, because let's be fair, I'm very aware at the moment that there are an awful lot of people that have fallen through cracks in funding gaps and all those type of things. And actually, if any of you are going through a really bad time with that, then feel free to reach out to me. I have a phrase, here with an ear. It's a hashtag. And I am here with an ear if you need some old bird to talk to that's been there and done it. So, yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Tina Boden, Micro Business Specialist. You can find me on Twitter, Micro Biz Girl. And although a lot of people seem to find Twitter really hard, but I love it. Maybe that's an age thing. And Instagram, I'm Tina Boden on there as well. And I'll also be upping my YouTube game going forward, because I want to be able to give free advice to people because I know that they need it at the moment. There are too many business advisors out there, folks, who are wanting to give you advice and have never run a business in their life. They're usually wearing blue polyester. Let me warn you. They come in a certain guise. They have a suit. And it's usually blue polyester. It's certainly not a pink dress with some floaty bits on the end. So, yes, why on earth do you want to be self-employed, for God's sake? What has brought that idea on? So, Matilda, tell me, why did you want to become a freelance, self-employed person?
So I hadn't really thought of it before. And then in lockdown, I've sort of been doing lots of different, like for Caroline, I've been doing lots of different writing jobs, and I have really enjoyed it compared to my previous job. I've enjoyed like picking what I'm doing and working with lots of different people as opposed to just one company. But as I've been thinking, maybe that's what I want to do, but I just don't really know where to start with any of it.
Okay, so let me help you. So are you currently still employed and doing this freelance at the same time? Because that's fine, you're not?
No, I'm not.
No, okay. You're actually gone for it. Freelance.
Yeah.
This is it. This is my source of income. I'll wonder where I'm going to get my money from to pay my bills at some point in this whole process.
Yeah.
Yes, I get it. About 4 weeks ago, I had a major meltdown because I have 3 business interests. I have Tina Boden, micro business specialist, or the tiny troubleshooter, as I'm also known, that works with micro businesses to help them problem solve. So that might be from doing their social media and whoa, Jay Wells, he'll show you how to do it. He's coming next. Is he coming that way?
Yeah, he's coming next. Yeah.
He's coming from over there somewhere later on, 11 o'clock. And Jay will tell you all about social media. But I do things like that. So social media, strategy development, policies and procedures, because it doesn't matter how big or small you are, policies and procedures are really important.
Yeah.
Because as you want to grow, or as you take on associates or subcontractors or whatever the term is that you use in your profession, then it's really important that you have those in place. So yeah, anyway, we digress, but I do that a lot, you'll notice. So the question is why you want to be self-employed, and sometimes people just take the jump for it. My advice, if you can, is to actually test trade and to find out if there is a market for what you want to do. Now, it's all right thinking it's a great idea, and it's all right asking your best mate, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, your grandma, your mum, your dad, all those people say, look, if I set up a business and I do this, let's say hairdressing, because I get that your grandma maybe is not that needy of a freelancer in the content writing world. She might be, I don't know.
I think more into the hairdressing.
Yeah, anyway, so let's say you're going to be a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you an example. When I started out with my kids' clothes and shoe shop, the one that nearly sent me under, I set up another business, and it was market research, really. So it was an end-of-line clothing business that allowed me to go into nurseries and schools and sell this end-of-line clothing as a fundraiser. I did it with a friend, but then she got pregnant, so I had to carry on doing it because it was all lifting and hugging and dragging and doing stuff. But the idea of that business was that I didn't run it for very long, but I did it as market research. It allowed me to gather data, okay? And it also allowed me to ask people if they would be interested in the business that I was trying to run, okay? So I understand why you want to do it, but it's really a question of, is there anybody that wants to buy the service that you want to sell? Yeah. And it's important that you establish that. I understand that you might want to do it for lifestyle reasons. I get that. What I suggest you do is you get a large flip chart. And if you're already in business, then do this anyway, because it's really important that we understand what our vision is. If any of you have done a business plan, I hate business plans. I've only ever really done 2 of them at a time when I've needed some reasonable sized money from the bank. And they've said, well, we're not going to give you it, Tina, until you've done a business plan. And I've pulled a face and they've said, well, you're not getting it until you've done a business plan, and that's that. So I've gone away and done one. And I work a lot now with people who they do the business plans for other people, because the other thing is knowing your strengths. I can do it, I just don't like it very much. And this is the other important thing. So you need to understand why you're doing this. So get this large flip chart, get some coloured pens and draw a picture. Draw a picture of what your vision is for 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years time. So for example, my husband and I love skiing. We also love travelling. Not at the moment, of course. No. But we feel like we've had our wings clipped. But we want to ultimately, I'll never retire. You might gather from the energy in me that I always want to be there helping others and do. So I'll never retire, but I want to work remotely like this and do stuff. So we created this vision, and the vision is to run to be semi-retired, run a catered chalet in a ski resort in the winter months, and then come back to the UK for the summer. And we drew a picture so we knew where we're going, and also to help us understand how we could get there, because that's also important. It's all right having a vision of where you want to be, but it's how you're going to get there. So you need to understand, if it's a vision of 1 year, from now, then you need to understand those steps that you're going to get in place. So your vision might be that you want to buy a new car. How are you going to make sure that you can achieve that? Now, let's be honest. We all know that there are people online who will say they can sell you a deal that's going to get you hundreds and thousands of pounds and you're going to be the next big thing and everything else. Absolute BS. It comes with hard work. So understanding what that hard work is very important. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to understand why you are doing, why you do or want to do what you want to do. So it's clear that you have that. The other thing is, you also need to understand if you can be your own boss, because not everybody is cut out for it. You need to have an element of drive. You cannot go to the corner shop, Tesco's, Asda, wherever other supermarkets are available, and buy a box of motivation. Bring it home, tip it in a bowl, put some milk on it, have it for breakfast and think, whoa, that's it, I'm motivated today, and off we go. It doesn't work like that. But what you can do is buy in other services. So say you are a hairdresser, an artist, a creative designer. Quite often, if you've got that creative element about you, business isn't your thing. The thought of having to sit down and put receipts and what you've spent into a spreadsheet is often mind-blowing. So you can use an amazing tool like Pocket PA. Yeah. But equally, you could buy yourself some time from a virtual assistant who could also use a great tool like Pocket PA. And the importance of that is understanding your skills and abilities and where you might have to buy in some support services from. Because when you are looking at the amount of money you can earn, you need to know what you're going to be spending your money out on. Income and expenditure.
Do you reckon when you're having a micro business, there's a temptation to do everything yourself? Is that something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing that I talk about quite often is being a jack of all trades and master of most of them. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I have built a number of my own websites because at the time I've had little money and I've thought, oh, that's fine. Now, don't get me wrong, they're okay, but they're not as good as they would be if I'd paid somebody else to do them. And bartering, that's another thing that you can do. If I wanted something that Matilda could give me and she wanted something that I could give her, so for example, she wants some business support, I can give her a month, 12 months of business coaching once a month, and in return, she would write me some content. And that's how it works. Bartering's a great thing to do and very easy, and no money changes hands. The only trouble is you can't run your whole business on the barter scheme, because actually when it comes to paying rent and mortgages, they're not very good at those companies that saying, oh yes, that's fine, we'll take 3 cups of coffee for a mortgage payment. So yeah, you've got to be realistic about what you're doing, but you've also got to be realistic about who your customers are and where they're going to come from. And the other thing to remember when you're looking at either setting up or growing your business is where will you be located? Some of you can run businesses from home. Some of you can run them from an office you've created in your back bedroom. Absolutely fine. Matilda lives under the stairs, I've established.
I moved just for today from slightly under the stairs.
I discovered on Tuesday Matilda is the new Harry Potter.
That's me, just right against the stairs every day.
Thank you, under the stairs. The only difference between Matilda and Harry is she's not being kept locked there by a nasty auntie and uncle.
No.
But that's cool because Matilda's not paying rent to keep her business going. She's she may be paying rent on her home, but she has to pay rent on that home anyway, or a mortgage on that home. Once you come to renting a bricks and mortar premises, that's when your expenditure really increases. So it's very, very important that you look at the where and consider the where for a long time, and look at the where as part of your cash flow as well. Because if you're working from home, if you've got a beauty business and you can set up your beauty business from your home and you can run it from home, there will come a point where you want to leave that home and go into premises. But you have to understand that those premises have to be paid for, whether you've got customers coming through your door or not. So let's go back to the children's clothes and shoe shop. I had a property lettings and management business for 15 years. So I was very, very used to understanding rents, understanding rent values. But I'd had enough of that business. So I bought that business at the age of 21 with my mum and with my mum, and her and dad had just sold one of the businesses, a hotel that they owned. And we went into the property lettings business. Now, that was at the end of the 80s, the beginning of the 90s, when recession. You see, I love taking on businesses just as a recession or a credit. Like, you know, I'd probably be starting a new one during COVID just to keep the trend going, but I'm not. So, yeah, but the thing with the property lettings business was that actually we started that, well, we bought an very small existing business just as this recession hit, when interest rates were 16%, not like they are now, nothing. They were like 16%. There are lots of redundancies, lots of repossessions, lots of things going on. And our business just grew. It flew. We didn't do sales. We just focused on letting. And that is the other key thing. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Focus on a specialism. So even down to content writing. If you are better at content writing around travel, focus on travel. Push yourself forward in that area. If it's around a specific business sector, focus on that and push yourself forward in it. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Am I jumping about all over the place? Anyway, keep up, people. We're going. Yeah, and so it's really important that you understand the cost of where you're going to be based. And I took on the shop once I'd sold the property lettings business. We'd rented an office originally for the property lettings business, but it'd been successful. So we'd bought a property that had an office in it and some flats above and below. And my family are in the construction industry, so we're very lucky that we could renovate and do all that stuff. And what happened was we generated income from the flats that helped to keep our office going, and also brought us an additional income. So that was great. But we ended up selling the flats because when you've managed 350 properties and all the hassle that comes with them, you just sometimes enough is enough.
Yeah.
I was probably grayer than I am now, but I covered it up then. And but yeah, so I negotiated the rent on the property for the shop, for the children's clothes and shoe shop. And unfortunately, as part of that, I had to do some renovation work to it. And also there was things that I wanted to do. So I wanted a big play area at the back, so when kids came in, they had somewhere to play. And that had to all be paid for while I was doing the renovation work before we opened. And then you've got your stock to pay for. So you've really seriously got to look at where and the cost. Having a beautiful, glamorous city centre salon or showroom or office sounds fabulous, but actually you need to be realistic about the cost of it. So we've done the why, we've done the where, let's look at the what. So as I've already said, the what is really important. What is your business? What are you going to deliver as part of that business? So I'm a micro business specialist, and I help micro businesses, those that employ 0 to 9, with problem solving to develop and grow and look at all aspects, especially the well-being of the business owner. Now, I'm very clear about that. I don't work with businesses that employ more than 9 people. I say I don't. I might just, if it tips over and there's a reason for it, I will. But usually I don't. I focus on the small micro businesses, the micro businesses. Small business can go right up to 250 employees.
That just doesn't seem small at all to me.
That's not small.
No, that's giant.
That's a humongous business. There's like small businesses. I think there's only something like 1% of UK businesses that are actually large businesses. And there's only about 6,000 of them, you know, the massive employers.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'd never have thought of it like that. I didn't realise that how much of the business world was made up by small businesses.
So if we're just looking at, let's just look at that, the realism, okay? So a micro business is defined as somebody that employs 0 to 9 and turnovers less than 2 million a year. 2 million a year. 2 million a year. I mean, my God, I'd have been grateful to turn over 2 million in a business lifetime.
I think so would everyone. Well, most of them. That's a lot.
If you are a micro, I mean, I look at micros really as under 5, and in, I think it was 2011, there's what's known as an all-party parliamentary group. Now, I've done a lot of campaigning with government, and usually leave feeling like I've batted my head against a brick wall. But I keep going back and batting my head against that brick wall. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah, so that's a micro business. Now, as I've said, the average micro business owner is more likely to turn over sort of 50,000. Once you get to 85,000, that's when you become VAT registered.
Yeah.
And let me just say, in all of this, and I have this conversation regularly with people, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. I run my businesses. So I also have another business called the B&B Keeper, and I've gone right back to my hospitality roots, which is what I trained in. My mum and dad running pubs and hotels, and I offer relief management to B&B guest house and small hotel owners when they want to go on holiday or if they have an emergency. So that allows me to travel. My husband comes with me sometimes. He's in the event structures business, so he travels all over the place as well. And so yeah, but all my businesses are run below the VAT threshold, which is 85,000. That's fine. I don't employ any staff. I work with associates. That's how it is. It's fine. Because actually, that means I've got less paperwork to do with VAT. I don't employ staff, so I don't have to worry about PAYE, because that's another problem. And actually, in the beauty industry, that's a really interesting industry, I think, because they're in a position to be able to rent a chair, rent a room, all those different things. So they don't have to take on staff. It's like Tom in the plumbing, heating and tiling business. He works with subcontractors. It's the community construction industry scheme. But again, these are all options. Understand again about the amount of money that you are earning and the impact, and get yourself a good accountant. Right at the end of the day, we have an accountant coming to talk to you about money. Don't avoid that. Now, this is me being mother. Do not avoid that session just because it's talking about accounts. They're really important.
Yeah.
And actually having a good accountant that you can work with is really important. And keeping on top of stuff through an app like Pocket PA and all the stuff that you can do is really important. Because when you don't do any of that, that's when things start to go wrong. And you wonder why the hell you went self-employed.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on, Matilda.
I think a lot of people, I think I would as well. If you're not particularly good with numbers, they seem a lot more scary, and finances, it seems really overwhelming. I don't understand anything about those kind of things at all. I feel like I was never taught it. So to me, I see it and it just makes me go, ah.
I know. Well, right. Okay. So let me give you a thing. Before you start out, or at any stage, once a year, you need to look at your own personal survival income. Do it before you start out. Do it on an annual basis. Maybe when you get into your year end or something like that. I mean, if you're a really organised saddo like I am, you'll be on top of your personal survival income every week. But that's because I am an organised saddo that's been in self-employed for a lot of years, 32 nearly. And it's so important, because when you are self-employed, you have peaks and troughs with income, you have peaks and troughs with trading periods, you have all those different things. So keep on top of it, understand how much you need to live, how much you need for your own personal survival income. So that's like rent. I mean, if you're lucky enough to still be living at home with your parents, it's bored. But rent. Oh well, actually bored. Oh gosh, that's a novelty. Charlie. Anyway, yeah. So it's those. So rent, car payments. Although you may be able to run an element of your car payment if you can prove you need it to work through your business. That's where an accountant's important and can help you with that.
Or on Pocket PA, you can put it through directly, so you can do it like through. It has a function, so your journeys are automatically done through Pocket PA, which is another great thing about.
Marvelous. Keep me up to date with the Pocket PA stuff, Hilda. Don't want Caro kicking me at a distance. Thank you, she's a long way away. Anyway, so yeah, so where were we? So yeah, you need to understand how much you need to survive personally, because you need to then make sure that you're earning enough money in your business to earning enough profit in your business once you've taken all your business overheads off, to be able to take those personal drawings and survive. Because from a well-being point of view, personal well-being, if your business isn't generating enough income to help you draw down those personal drawings to pay for your personal survival stuff, then this can have a massive impact on your mental health. Finance is one of the biggest worriers of people's lives, and it may be that you are able to access some additional help like universal credit when you first start out, but equally that depends on circumstance, and everybody needs to look at that differently. So where were we? So who are going to be your customers? Where are they going to come from? And as I say, you've already asked all those families, relations, and mates and mates' mates. You need to find people and market research who you don't know. Now, it might be that you can run something through Facebook that's a promoted page and allows people to sign up so you can share with them. It might be that you have an opportunity to go to an event in your community where you're going to be running your business, if it's going to be community based, so hairdressers, beauticians, physiotherapists, gyms, you know, anything like that. Content writer like yourself, you're much wider scale. So there's different areas that you could do your market research. But you need to find out whether people are actually going to use your service. And they will tell you they are, and then they don't show up. So back to my shop. The day that I opened the shop, I'd sent out previously, 6 weeks prior, 450 invitations to people I had on the database that I'd built, going around flogging end-of-line clothes to raise money for different organisations. And I sent out 450 invitations. Now, this is about 12 or 13 years ago, so let's imagine the world before social media, Facebook and all those things. You actually had to advertise in the local paper and send snail mail to people. And that's what I did. And lots of friends said, yeah, we'll be there. I'd organised a magician. I'd run a competition in the local paper to have the logo design. I'd arranged with the car dealership, which was a mini dealership. They would do a chauffeur-driven ride for the winner and her mum or dad, but it was her mum, to come to the shop to cut the ribbon. We had a magician. Magic Mike, not the Magic Mike that takes all his clothes off. This is a friend of mine that I've known for years. I used to go to school with his wife Maria, so we call her Magic Maria. Anyway, Magic Mike came, and he's really good, and I hope he's not listening, or Maria, but he's quite good looking as well. So he's an attraction all round for the mums and the kids. Anyway, he's probably a bit greyer than he used to be, but he still entertains our family. We had a Zoom party for my 13-year-old niece at the beginning of April, a surprise one. She was trying to pretend that she wasn't very impressed that Auntie Tina had done her a Magic Mike surprise room party, but I know she was. Anyway, yeah, so we had all of this, and then about 4 weeks, so after I'd sent out my invites 4 weeks before, Scarborough Football Club, we then had a football club. For about 10 years, we haven't had one. That's how bad they are. And we've only just got one back. I'm led to believe they're doing okay. Anyway, yeah, Scarborough Football Club got drawn in the FA Cup because they were doing quite well against Chelsea. And they were playing in Scarborough. Guess what day? The day I was about to open my shop. People that had never been to a football match in their life got tickets, including friends of mine. My husband sulked with me because he couldn't go because he is a King football fan. Yeah, it was a disaster. So my cash flow that I'd had and predicted for the day of opening went way downhill. And of course, when you're doing something like a shoe shop, a clothes shop, any of that type of thing, you need to buy a lot of stock to fill it before you start. And I mean, now you can do, I mean, there's online shops, you can set up online shops, but still you've got to get yourself out there. It's not just a case of putting a shop on the online and thinking, oh, that's great, everybody's going to come. They're not.
You need to, yeah, the people need to know where it is.
Yeah, you need to do the promotion around the social media, and it's all about search engine optimization. And I mean, Tom and Charlie, they've set up this gymwear business, which, as I say, at the moment, there's just sort of, it's a side hustle for both of them, and it's sat in a box, literally. But they've got the online shop that they did through a platform called EKM, who I work quite closely with. And yeah, it's just really, it's hard.
Yeah.
And you need to understand that you are going to get customers, and you need to be prepared for the customers that say they're going to come to you, not to come.
Yeah.
And whatever cash flow you predict and however customers, you'll have done the same. You'll think, oh, I'm going to get X number of writing jobs and I'm going to earn this amount of money. And then in your case, Matilda, you'll have invoiced somebody for that work, and they'll have agreed to pay you in 7 days, and you're still 28 days in and they've still not paid you. And it's all of that stuff. You've got to have a buffer behind you so that you've got something to fall back on. But what you've also got to do is promote to the who. Get out there, sell yourself. Hi, I'm Tina Boden. I'm a micro business specialist. I ensure the well-being of the micro business and the business owner is as good as it can be. Create an elevator pitch. Do not be afraid of saying at every opportunity who you are, what you do, how are you doing it, where you're doing it, because that's important. Set up all the social media pages where people will interact with you. Understand the social media that your customers will be using, because all of that is really, really important. Link with the who. Build your crowd. That is one of the key messages. If you look at my Instagram, I'm like a stuck record with that. Build your crowd, build your crowd, build your crowd. It's all right having 10,000 followers on your Facebook page, but if they're not interacting with you, pointless.
Yeah.
You're better off having 100 that are warm leads, warm links, warm potentials of earning money than you are of having 10,000.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. So build your crowd. Build your crowd. Those who buy from you, those who support you, and those who promote you. Because some won't buy from you, but they will promote you. They will say, oh, this is great, Matilda does a wonderful job, da, 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 da. They might not need to buy your services, but they'll promote you.
Yeah.
Some, like me, in what I do, will support you in my campaigning for micro business, in my absolute belief in independent businesses. I will promote you, and that's what's important. Build your crowd, build your crowd, build your crowd. Okay.
So
who?
The who? We've done it. So have we done the? We've done the why. We've done the who. We've done the where. We've done the what. Have we done the well-being?
No.
That's
the other thing I need to just go back to with the who is understanding your competitors.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's all right thinking that there is nobody else out there doing what you're doing or doing it as well as you could do it, all the usual reasons, but actually there is. And there always will be. And it's really important to understand your competitors and who they are, especially if you're in a community. You need to understand what they look like. And I don't mean they're blonde, 5'8", you know, have grey hair. What I mean is what their branding looks like, what their business looks like, what they look like to the outer world that they're promoting to, their customers. Do you want to look like them? Do you want to appear more contemporary? Do you want to appear more traditional? Do you want to be more, all the different things that you need to look at around your branding? And some of you will have started out with branding when you first started your business, and you look at it now and think, oh my God, this isn't where I want to be now. This isn't the image I want to portray. I've literally just rebranded. So I've gone right back to the team. I'm pointing because it's there. Or there for there for a duck for StreamYard. Anyway, it's all about the branding. Branding is everything. But I've gone right back to it just so it clearly tells the story. But I wanted it to be quite simplistic. I want it to look like I've signed it off and this is what I am. And it's so important. And you need to know if your competitors, can become your customers. Because some people that you actually are looking at and thinking, oh my God, I'm in competition with them. It could be that you could collaborate with them and create a bigger offer. If you're a hairdresser that doesn't do beauty, but there's somebody down the road that does beauty, collaborate with them, give special offers, work together, cross-promote. All of that helps to build your crowd.
Then you get both audiences joining together like that. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you see things on Facebook and Instagram where people are having joint giveaways. Brilliant idea. Because actually it allows you to bring different businesses together, to share to both crowds and to grow your own crowd.
Yeah.
So, the well-being. Oh my God, it's 10:42. Why did it get to that time already? Oh, are you still awake, everybody? Hello, is there anybody in StreamYard world? Give me away. So yeah, that's a question. If you haven't already, I can't emphasize the importance of business well-being and personal well-being. And I know somewhere in the day we have somebody coming to talk about sort of the calm and
at 12 o'clock.
So 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the lady is called
Tania. Diggory. Yeah. So this is Karma.
Yeah. So I've been in business 32 years, and you would think that I'm quite a hardy chick. I am quite a hardy chick. I'm also quite an outspoken bird as well. So I'm not afraid of sticking my head above the parapet, which you have to do when you've been campaigning for micro and small and independent businesses. And I'm also not afraid of somebody challenging me and me challenging them back. But on occasion, that can have a massive impact on my well-being. I've suffered with trolls on Twitter, and not in a massive way, but in enough of a way to just think, right, that's it, I'm stepping away from social media for a while. I've had experience in business where people have, not paid me and nearly taken me under. I've had experience in business like I had with the shop, where the whole economy, the global economy, the national economy, not like the global economy at the moment. I mean, this COVID-19 period has had a huge impact on so many people's well-being.
Yeah.
Suddenly their business that they built. So I'm a perfect example, right? I'll use me. I had the B&B keeper full of relief cover from March to November, as full as I wanted it to be, which was fabulous. And I look after B&Bs and guest houses and small hotels, and they were shut. And they're not likely to be open until beyond the 4th of July. And those business owners have been losing that business. I go in when they go on holiday. They can't afford a holiday. You know, even beyond this, it's just an absolute nightmare. I lost about £12,000 worth of work in a week. And at the end of that week, I had an absolute meltdown. I'd had enough. I was like, I've been running my own businesses for 30 odd years. I am sick of this. I'm sick of it. I'd be better off. And I see people in paid jobs who are 80% furlough, you know, all of that stuff. Anyway, had a meltdown, had a few days of serious, like, down. And then I gave myself a bit of micro business specialist talking to. I took some of my own tiny troubleshooter advice, which can be very hard when you're dealing it yourself. So I took some of my own advice and I did some of the stuff that I needed to do. I had also been doing an awful lot of stuff for free, giving people support, because the other thing is when you've got a relatively high profile, people know that you're there and they send you messages. So all of that. So yeah, and I decided to do a bit of rebranding and restructure myself. I still haven't managed to lose nearly the stone that I put on in lockdown, but I restructured myself in my business. Yeah. And so if you're having a meltdown at the moment, or if you're feeling really low and your well-being is impacted, give me a shout out. I'm here to offer some free support to you, because I know how hard it can be. And it doesn't matter how long you have been in business, it is still hard. 30 years in business. But the one thing that I will advise you throughout all of this and going forward is you have to build resilience. You need to be very resilient, and it's really, really important. Resilience is really important. And your own well-being is really important. And if the passion for your business is in doubt, get out. Because if you are not passionate about your business, nobody else will be. Yeah. Nobody, not even a business partner, will have the same passion for that business as you do. And that is where it is so important that you understand that your well-being, your personal well-being, must come before the well-being of anything else. Because actually, if your well-being isn't great, the well-being of your business won't be great, and it goes on a downward spiral.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
So I'm here to listen. As I say, you can find me on Twitter at Microbizno. I've relaunched my Tina Boden Micro Business Specialist Facebook page, which is a perfect example of why you shouldn't get rid of a Facebook page that had a lot of engaged crowd and like 12 months before, and then try to rebuild it again when Facebook have changed their algorithms and all the other stuff. So I'm Tina Boden, Micro Business Specialist, and _Tina Boden_ on Instagram. And there is a question.
Yes. Are there any current go-to must-read books that you'd recommend for a self-employed person setting up currently?
Oh, Ren, what a question. Now, I have a little issue with books, not books in general, but at the moment, everybody wants to write a self-help book. And what I would advise you to do is look at the sector that you're in, look at different organisations that support that sector. So if you are a micro business, the one organisation I would highly recommend is Enterprise Nation. And at the moment, I know they are offering 3 months free membership with a special code. So if you contact me, I'll give you the special code. But they do some great stuff. Their founder, Emma Jones, has written books. She's really good. But blogs can be very useful as well, because a lot of the it's interesting because I work quite closely with a publisher called Taryn Johnson, and I work closely with her around the work that she does, not that I'm writing a book. But she keeps saying to me, Tina, you should write a book. And I'm like, I don't want to write a book because there's so many books out there that actually it's just another book on the bookshelf. And I just think that doing it another way is important. So go to Enterprise Nation, have a look at what they do, follow them on social, check out their website. I can give you a code for membership, but they do a lot of post writing that gives a lot of advice for people that are starting out. And to me, that is a lot easier to take in than it is writing a book. But when I come across one that's really good, I will share it with everybody on my socials.
So, right, let's see, have we got any more smaller questions we've got coming through? What banks do you think support self-employed people the best? Someone wants to move bank accounts.
Okay, right, okay. Now, this is another interesting question. So, bounce back loans. I decided I was going to apply for a bounce back loan because I'd lost all this business. And for quite a long time, I'd been looking at moving to Starling Bank because I'd read such amazing reviews about them. Now, bear in mind, I've been in business 30 odd years. And yeah, I have had some highs and some lows. And I've also had some personal debt as well, and all of that stuff historically, all of that, because it all comes with the territory. But it's about managing it and understanding. So I moved to Starling Bank mid-May, first week of May, and I applied for a bounce back loan with them, and I was one of the 16% that didn't get it. Okay, now I'm currently with Lloyds, and you know, I've not been happy with high street banks for quite a long time, but they were brilliant with me processing my bounce back loan because I've been with them for years. But I still like Starling Bank. I've still got a business account with them. I'm still running it. I like the way that they work. I think they're a relatively new bank in the overall scheme of things, and you know, nobody's perfect. But I like the way that they're operating. I like the whole online thing. I like the whole digital thing. I like the fact you don't have to go to the bank to do stuff. I like the fact you can pay the cash at the post office if you get cash, all of that. So I would recommend Starling Bank. But I'm also quite back with Lloyds as a high street bank if you wanted to go, because I felt that they were really quite supportive with me. I've heard some really, really bad reports of Barclays throughout all of this, and yeah, so give Starling a go. You can set it up in minutes. They haven't been taking new bank accounts. What date is it? 4th of June. You're all right. They weren't taking any new bank accounts until after the 1st of June. I think they needed to manage their own expectations. I've got a hair and it's itching my nose. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm not doing some weird sort of thing. Anyway, so yeah, does that help? I hope that helps.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got a comment just wanting to say, saying thank you for your answers and for all your tips, how useful they've been. We are in the last couple of minutes now, so would you like to take another question, or do you want to sum up?
Another question. I can see there's a chat at the side of this. Oh God, I do a whole Microbees Matters Day, second Friday of January every year, online streaming. But what I'm loving about StreamYard, Caro's introduced me to StreamYard and I'm really liking it. But the thing is, you get this whole chat thing going on down the side here. So while you're trying to focus, and I have 8 hours of this while I'm hosting it, and I'm there all the time questioning people, a bit like Matilda sat alongside me here. I can see that I'm being told that I had X number of minutes and that Jay's up next, and he's already sat in the wings waiting for me. Yo, Jay, how are you? Yes. Give me a wave. Quick question.
What's the one single biggest bit of advice you wish you knew when you first started your business?
Right. So when I first started to do business, I was lucky because, as I said, I'm 3rd generation self-employed. So I had a lot of advice. I'd seen a lot of experience. And even at 21, I'd seen a lot of what my mum and dad had gone through. And I think 30 years ago would be very different to now. But now, the one key thing for me is about your crowd. Build your crowd. Don't be afraid to promote yourself. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be passionate about what you do. And actually, do not be afraid to exit your business either. Because I come back to, if the passion is in doubt, get out. And so grow your crowd, build your crowd, love what you do, keep an eye on your own personal well-being, and if the passion is in doubt, get out.
That's great. Right, thank you so much for speaking to everyone today, Tina.
It's been a pleasure.
Everyone virtually.
Having me.
Thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. It's been such a pleasure.
Take care, everybody. And if you need me, I'm around.
Brilliant. We'll be sending everyone your information in the thing we send out after the event as well. So
good luck in trying to capture all of that because I don't use slang. Oh, Matilda. See you later.
bye.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yeah.
Perfect. How are you doing?
I'm all good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for joining us today.
No major, no worries.
Perfect. So next up we have Jay. He's an amazing entrepreneur. He's going to be leading our next section. The next segment is all about skyrocketing your social media and how to do so fast. So Jay is best known for being an award-winning entrepreneur, known for his YouTube, his podcasts, and for owning his own agency called Tomorrow's Talk. So Jay's going to be covering Facebook and Instagram, the do's and the don'ts, all about engagement, your stories, boosting posts, and at the end we'll have a Q&A. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But yeah, Jay, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thanks. Well, how's everyone doing, guys? Hopefully you're going to be able to slowly adapt to the Brummie accent, because I know it's not everyone's favourite tone, but I've got lots of juicy stuff that I'm going to share with you. I want to make sure that I can give you things that you can actually take away from this and start putting into action, along with killing, you know, some of the myths, because there's a lot of myths out there when it comes to social media, what people think they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. So I'm just going to take you from the start showing you some little steps that you can do and sort of smashing through it here. So as you can see, here's myself from a nice little award that I got. What this picture on the right is, this is actually one of my first ever office units that I had. And the reason I want to show you this is because, you know, some of you that are watching, you might be starting out. Some of you that are watching, you might already be established. And I just want to be aware that everybody has a starting point. You know, my office now is completely different to this, and it can be a very daunting thing. And especially with what we see on social media, it's very easy for us to start comparing ourselves to others. But you have to remember, every expert at one point was a beginner, and every, you know, billion-dollar company at one point was earning, you know, £0 a day when they got started. So everyone's got a starting point. So we'll crack into the slides. Am I going to be able to? Okay, I've got to go on here and press down. Okay, so here's just a few little stats. I wanted to show you how important social media is. So as you can see, the total population of the world, roughly, is 7.6 billion. Like that is a lot of people. And out of that, 5.1 billion people use their mobile phones. Like that in itself is ridiculous. They've become effectively an attachment to us, which, you know, it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's there. It's readily available for us to use as we will. But the most important thing that I want you to look at this is that 3.3 billion people are actively on social media. So that's effectively like half of the world's population is actively on social media. You got to think how crazy it is that you could get in touch with someone over the other side of the world purely through social media. You can have an insight to their life through looking at their Instagram pictures, their Facebook pages. This is stuff that you couldn't do 50 years ago. And if you was to go back in a little time machine and tell a businessman in the 1930s what they would be able to do to kickstart a business today, their mind would be blown. And it's become such a norm to us. Sometimes we forget about the huge opportunity that we are in and that we can actually maximize from. So right here is how many users use each social media platform by the billions. So as you can see at the top, you've got Facebook. Down the bottom, you've got Pinterest. A few of these platforms are ones that you'll have in, you know, like third world countries, some of that are popular in Asia, etc. But the big ballers at the top, as you see, you got Facebook and WhatsApp and YouTube. You got Instagram. TikTok is very much on the rise. Some people have been asking if TikTok marketing is anything that would be useful getting into, and in all honesty, it's one of them where it's still finding its way. They're still currently figuring out how they're going to monetize the platform. You know, you have got influencers that are starting to pop up on it, and it is a platform that is going to be incredible to use later down the line. But at the moment, it's still very much in the beta stage. But if you're thinking, should you get on TikTok? By all means, do it. You know, it's not costing you anything. Whack a few videos up, get experimental with it. And this is the other thing. They don't know what type of content is currently really going viral on there. So you can't create any right or wrong content because there is no current patterns for it. Okay. Now, have you ever thought about doing flyers? Local distributors, that could be when you have your little postman roll up in the morning, or you have your local area catalogue put through your door, putting your business cards all over the gaff, whacking them in your friends' shops, going to shops asking if you could put them in, or relying on friends and family to promote your business. Now, these for me are massive no-nos, and I'm going to explain to you why. Flyers, the biggest waste of time you will ever do. I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you've just gone and put an order in on some flyers online. Flyers are the biggest waste of time that you will ever do. You have no way of tracking or tracing your results from them. You know, you might have a few people contact your business. You don't know how many people have actually looked at those flyers. I mean, if you have some flyers come through your door, I know the odds are, I mean, that's a lot. I will look at them because I own a marketing agency. So anyone that's doing flyers, I'll think, there's a potential customer for me right there. But before that, I would just throw these away in the bin. And it's the same with the local distributors. The really appealing thing is, and I can see it to companies, is their fees are very low. Like quite often the cost to get put in some of the local distributors are very low. And you've got to think, if they were that incredible, would they really be charging that little amount of money? It's you get what you pay for. If you used to buy a table for £500, you used to buy a table for £100. I mean, what table is going to have the better build, going to be the better quality, and thus give you the better results whilst it's in use? Now, putting your business cards all over the gaff is very much similar with flyers. It's nice. We like going out. We like networking with people. That's something that, you know, us entrepreneurs love doing, and we chatting to other business owners, like, oh, can you put this in there? So, you know, you see both businesses benefiting. But in reality, yeah, again, this is just a complete waste of time, and I do not want anybody to waste their time, because it can be put to so many more areas and made into good use. And then relying on friends and family, this can be quite not a sensitive topic, but quite an eye-opening one. So I found, and through speaking to several entrepreneurs and people that have done startups, and this is something that I personally experienced, when you start a business, you are so passionate about it, and we immediately think that our friends and family are going to push the businesses. 90% of the time, they don't. And it can be very easy as a person to start building up, it is effectively underlying a little bit of underlying hatred, or you can start to despise some of your friends and family, because you don't see in your mind why they aren't supporting you, aren't pushing what you do. Don't get me wrong, some people have family members and friends that will push whatever it is that they do, but 90% of the time it doesn't happen. But what you need to realize is that nobody will truly understand your passion more than you. So you can't feel any type of way for other people not seeing your vision, because your vision is your vision, and it will effectively, after a month or so, it becomes a novelty to all those around you. And that doesn't mean that you should stop doing what you're doing. You've just got to be, what's the expression? Not narrow-minded. You've got to have your tunnel vision going on, and not let any extraneous variables come into influence with your actual motivation and the work rate that you do. So I couldn't help myself putting some of these pictures. So this is a cost per 1,000 impressions. I'm going to cut this down because I'm not one for marketing mumbo jumbo. I don't like, you know, making things seem snazzier than they are. Effectively, what this is the cost that you pay for 1,000 people to see your content. It's also known as a CPM. Now, as you can see, broadcast TV, so this would be if you used to run an advert on television, broken down, you'd be paying $28 for 1,000 people to see your content. If you go right to the bottom of this graph, you can see that just for $2.50, you can have 1,000 people see it through social media. That is ridiculous. You could walk around your local street and pick up a couple of quid on the floor. You could find £2.50, and that is what it takes to show it to 1,000 people through social media. That is absolutely insane. And the people and the companies, some of the largest companies that are still doing these TV adverts, they're still pushing stuff through radio, they're still pushing their promotions through magazines. They haven't even clocked on to the exceptional opportunity that there is through social media ads. You obviously have very, very large corporations that are running social media content, but they are in no way utilizing it as much as they can. So for people like us, it's an amazing opportunity to get in there, get the data whilst it's cheap, and get incredible results whilst you can. Because Facebook, social media such as Facebook and Instagram, when you run adverts through them, they work as a bidding platform. So the more people that are on there effectively bidding for that space, the higher the result's going to be. It's all automatic how it's done. But in effect, the more people that are going to advertise on social media, you stand a chance of having your costs slightly rise. Now, this right here, as you can see, this is me. This is a little picture from me in IB for Ocean Beach. I wish I was there now. I ran an experiment on YouTube, and what I did was I ran a Facebook and Instagram ad in order to get a date. Now, the reason for this just shows you the capabilities of what you can do through Facebook and Instagram. I simply grabbed my phone, recorded a video, and I showed it to people on Facebook and Instagram stories, sorry, and I showed it to people that were single, because Facebook has all this data on everyone. You used to be able to show an advert to someone based on their income. Facebook genuinely used to have that information, and you could show an advert for what you do to someone based on their income. So say, for example, if you're selling a luxury product for £1,000, you could show that to people who had a household income of over 100,000 a year. Now that has been taken out since they changed all the legislations, a year and a half ago, but the data that's on there is still incredible. So I was able to show this to people that were single. I had people come through, I had DMs, I had follows, and yeah, it's a bit of a novelty thing, but it just really does show you the power of it. And if you want to check that video out, then you can go take a look at my YouTube, and everything's on there. So here's some social media myths. It doesn't work. I boosted a post. Boosting a post is what Facebook wants you to think to do. Okay, you should never boost a post. We've all seen it. You might have posted on your Facebook or Instagram. You have that little thing come up at the bottom and it just says boost post. You'll do it. You might have a couple of 100 likes come through, a couple of 1,000 likes come through. But this is not what you want to do. What I'm going to show you in a few slides is effectively a boosted post on steroids. Now, you have no control over a boosted post. It's just Facebook's algorithm automatically doing what it does, but you don't want to do this. And I've been there myself when I started going into business years and years ago. I'd boost a post because I thought it was what he was meant to do, but just take my word for it, you do not want to boost a post. Now, nobody's liking my content. I must be doing something wrong. Likes shouldn't depict your worth, okay? Now, you can run a highly profitable business without having barely any followers and without having barely any likes. We get a dopamine hit when likes come through, which is why we will start depicting them of a higher value with the more social proof that's there. But that doesn't by any means mean that you're doing anything wrong. So if any of you watch any Gary V's content, he was putting out videos for years before he even got picked up. And all he was making sure that he was doing is that he was providing value. There's a concept of width versus depth. So you have some music artists, they might have 2 million followers, but then you'll have another music artist who will have 400,000 followers, and that music artist with 400,000 will actually make more than the artist with 2 million. And what it is that person with 2 million followers, they've got the width of the audience, so they've got loads of people that might sort of like seeing the content, they engage, but they aren't actually sold into the artist. They don't buy every song that they put out, they don't buy the merch. Whereas if you have a loyal following, you can monetize a loyal following far more than you can just having, large numbers on your account. At the end of the day, they are vanity metrics. They do serve a purpose as social proof, but there's so many other ways that you can get social proof. So don't get caught up on the likes of your content. Just make sure that you're being authentic what you're putting out. And that is what is really selling to people these days. Even when it comes down to the ads themselves, a pattern that I've found is content when you can see it's got a high production value, it tends to get lower returns now. And the reason for that is people know that they're being advertised to, because you see an advert every 1 to 5 posts. People are so used to seeing it that you want something that's authentic. You want someone to stop and be like, think that could be a post that someone they know has placed. Then once you've caught their attention, you can engage them into the ad and pull them through, whether it's a sale for your online site, whether it's a lead, if you own, a clinic, you own a gym. and you can get them pulled through that way. And that basically follows on to the third point about you needing followers and likes to make money, which is it's a lie. And yeah, I've covered all of them from flowing on from the second point on that. Now, some social media do's and don'ts. Okay, this is important, people, because if you do these, you can get your account banned, and we don't want that. Nobody wants an account banned. They will ban an account no matter what status you already have. You had accounts that got banned when Instagram changed their algorithm on people using automated tools, which is what these are. They were banning accounts that had 2 million followers. They really don't give a damn. They will just, if they notice you're breaking the guidelines and you're doing anything to effectively get excessive amounts of growth, they will just ban your account. They don't care. You're not going to get a reply when you try to reach out to them. It's not going to happen. So things you should avoid are auto DMs. So people use online softwares to send out DMs to people to get them to follow them, or as soon as they follow them. And it is literally as simple as anything that is automated through a third-party platform goes against Instagram's legislations. Now, in effect, if you're using a scheduler, I just want to bring this up, if you are using a scheduler, this actually is also against guidelines, but they don't clamp down on this. So you will be okay using a scheduler for your Facebook page or your Instagram page. Using auto likers, this is a really, really effective way of growing. About a year and a half ago, it was a method I was doing myself. I was getting, roughly 400 to 500 organic followers come through a month for it. But now you can't do it. If they notice that you're using, as I say, a software to like people's profiles, like people in your niches profiles, so they would have an interest coming to your account, they will also ban you. You can use follower bots, so following and unfollowing, that will also get you banned. Mass story views is something that has recently come into play, and I don't know if any of you have looked at your stories and thought, who's this person? I haven't ever noticed them before. You click on them and they're not even following you. That is because there is softwares now that will view over 100,000 people's stories a day. Yet again, it can be used for growth, but it will get your account banned. So you want to swerve all of these. It's really, really not worth it, especially when I'm going to show some ideas of how you can get sales and clients with any status, shall we say, of social media following. Paying for likes, they're all going to be fake accounts, so it's not going to do you any good, especially how Instagram works, especially when it comes to pushing your content out there. If you put a picture up and it's going to show that picture to a select percentage of your following, dependent on how they react to that picture will depend on how many people they push it to more. And then as they can see that more people engaging with your post, they start pushing it to more of your following. And that's how they sort of depict the amount of thousands of people that they'll show it to, because you can view all the analytics on your Instagram page. So if you paid for followers, then it could show that post to the botted followers. So then you're taking the opportunity away from someone that's real seeing your content. So you just want to avoid all of these. If you want to take a screenshot or write them down, just make sure that you don't do any of these for your social media profile. Now, some social media do's, spicing up, keep it positive. Utilizing your Instagram stories. Now, this is critical. I'm a bit of a motor mouth. Actually, now I've said that, I might want to slow down how quickly I talk. And the beauty of your Instagram stories is pretty much 3 times the amount of people that will see your post will see a story. One thing that some people might think is, I'm not comfortable talking to the camera. I'm not someone that's got an extroverted personality, and that is completely fine. There is no personality type that will rule out what you can do on social media. It's about finding what works for you. So if you don't want to talk to the camera, you can do videos of behind the scenes, what you're doing. Your face doesn't have to be on it. It could be products that you will launch. It could be deliveries going out. It could be, if you own a clinic, it could be some shots of your clinic. It could be any awards, any customers, anything like that. Just put content out there. Like, people like to see what's going on. And because social media makes everything so accessible, people really love to get into the background of a brand, and you want to build up what's called the lifetime value of a customer, because you don't just want to get a customer once. You want them to be with you for as long as you can. And by utilizing Instagram stories, showing behind the scenes, this is a great way you can maximize on this. Now, engaging with your audience, comment back to anything, no matter what it is. Comment back to it, engage with your audience, reply to DMs, reply to comments, and it can get overwhelming. This can get overwhelming if you get a lot of notifications. But what I'd say is if this is something that you find, and I've personally dealt with this in all honesty myself, you know, I've got to points where I've found it so overwhelming from the amount of notifications that I've had come through that, you know, it almost triggers a bit of anxiety. But you have to take control over that. So if you find that dwelling, allocate a time slot in your day. So say, for example, from 12 to 1, you allocate all of that time for responding to any comments, any DMs, and any messages that you have, and then just do that every day. So you have that one allocated time, so it's not lingering on your subconscious. Then experiment with your post styles. Don't be afraid to do something a little bit different. Throw a little bit of sauce in there, spicing it up. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Now, the thing that holds people back from this is they might try something new, might not get as many likes, but as we say, it's about the depth of your audience. All you really need to do is reach one person, like truly reach one person that sees that post and resonates with it for it to have an effect. You're better off it hitting one person hard than 10 people softly. And then getting Facebook reviews where possible. This works great for social proof. You got to think, if you go to eBay and you go to buy an iPhone case, I just bought one earlier. You got two sellers. One could be selling the case at £6. One could be selling the case for £2. If the seller that is selling the case for £6 has 100,000 reviews and the seller selling it for £2 has 500 reviews, majority of people are still going to pay £6 because of the social proof. And this works exactly with your companies as well. So wherever you get the chance, get Facebook reviews. And then lastly, but not least on this, biased, of course, run social media ads. And I'm going to show you the incredible things that you can do through social media ads. So here, what this is actually a screenshot of a Shopify store. So what I wanted to show you is, during Corona, companies have been hit very, very differently. And some people might find that they would hold themselves back from really going all out because of the current situation that we're in. Now, completely dependent on your industry, you know, what you can do is going to differ. You know, I was on the phone yesterday with a clinic and they only managed to open on Monday, but now that they've opened, they want to go full-fledged and start pushing the social media. What this is an online store that I set up myself, as you can see, on the 10th of April. So in just over January, February, March, April, May, June. There we go. So just in a month and a half, this online store, I got to £9,481 in sales. So when I started this, there was no social proof. I think the Instagram had six to 9 posts on, and all of this revenue is from ads. It comes from nowhere else. There is no organic reach on this. This is all through paid ads. So I want to show is the power of the ads themselves. Now, if you look at the little graphs that I've circled down the bottom, you can see that the graphs plummet. And what that is I had some problems coming with my ads, so I had to temporarily stop the ads. And as you can see, the traffic stopped, the sales stopped. So what you can do for ads is incredibly powerful. Now, this is an insight to the Facebook Ads Manager. Facebook owns Instagram. So if you want to run a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, it's all done through what is called Facebook's Business Manager. So it's the one interface, and that's where you will run your Instagram and your Facebook post from. Now, here's the several things that you can target. So you've got brand awareness, reach, traffic, engagement, app installs, video views. I don't know why I'm reading through them all because you can see it on the screen. Now, what most people do, no matter what their industry is they will go on there and they'll be like, okay, traffic, let's go for traffic. I want to get as many people to my website as I can. This is the wrong thing to do, and I'm going to tell you why. Facebook is so good at what they do that if you was to push an ad for traffic, it is going to just prioritize as many people going to your website as possible. It is not going to prioritize people that are going to convert. So it's effectively going to show that ad to window shoppers, people that just have an online habit of viewing websites and not purchasing or not converting to a lead. So the most important things, if you're someone that's watching this and you have any form of you know, cosmetic clinic, or you have a gym, you have anything where it's effectively a service base where you get leads through, what you'd want to do is you'd want to use the actual lead generation option here. If you have a website, what you want to do is you want to go for the conversion. And what conversion means is you can target people to purchase, you can target people who have a behavior to initiate a checkout, target people who have behavior of adding to carts. But overall, those will be the two main ones that you will use. And then engagement, this is where if you wanted to get social proof on your Instagram and Facebook, you can. So you could run an engagement ad and get your likes up to 100 likes for literally £1. And they will all be genuine people. And the beauty of this is you can do something called retargeting, which I'll go through a little bit later. Now, the juicy stuff. All right, we all know what this emoji means. So that is why I thought it would just be appropriate for this slide, the juicy stuff. So this right here is yet again some of the back end of how you can actually create an ad. Right here, as you can see, you can select a destination. So I've used London because it's a capital. I thought it would be the easiest thing to run through. And you can do an exact pinpoint drop and where your business is, and then select the diameter to show the advert to around. Because you want to be getting people that are local. If you've got a local business, you want people that live around you to show the ad to, and that is how you can make sure you do it. If you're selling online, the possibilities are endless. You can target any country in the world. You can target just UK. You can exclude countries you don't want the ads to be shown to. But the geographic, what's the word? The geographic, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but basically you can show it to anybody wherever. Now you can change things such as the ages, and you can do gender. So I just got distracted because I've just noticed one of the notifications on the bottom of the screen. Now, detailed targeting is where it gets really, really, really interesting. So for this example, I've put in frequent international travelers. So as I touched on earlier, you used to be able to identify people by their revenue streams, their income. Despite the fact that some of these really detailed things have gone out, there's still so much exceptional detail of what you can target. So this will show to people that frequently go out the country, it will have that information. So you could target first-class travelers. If you had something that you're trying to convert that has a high value, say for example, if you was doing facelifts, you know, realistically, if you want to target people that have more money, you could target people that travel in first class within a 10-mile radius around you, which is absolutely phenomenal. You could target a woman aged 20 to 30 who has an interest in cats, and then you can exclude an interest. So she could have an interest in cats, but then say not show people that dislike chocolate. Like, honestly, it's insane. And all of that is done through here, and it has the estimated potential reach. And then the amount of people that it will hit will actually depend on your daily budget. Now, I am going to make sure that I cover any questions that come through at the end, guys. So I'll be able to backtrack to any questions that you come up with. Now here, this is good. This is where you can spy on your competitors. You can genuinely look if your competitors are running any ads and what ads they are running. How ridiculous is that? So what I want to make sure is important to touch on is you don't, I'm going to show this process, don't go and copy competitors' ads. What you want to do is you want to take a look at them. You can see what's working, and then you can create the master ad in itself. So for this example, because there's not a lot of local businesses necessarily now that are running ads, I've used an e-commerce store, so an online store called JK Attire. And what you want to do is you would go on your competitor's Facebook page, and then you scroll down, and then on the bottom right, it says page transparency. Now, if you click on where it says see more, it takes you to this page, of which you can then click on go to ads library, and bada bing bada boom. That is, that's just 3 of their ads that you can scroll down and see every single ad that they are running. You can see what placements they're doing it. You can see if they're doing it to Instagram feeds, if they're doing it to show to people looking on the Instagram marketplace, Facebook marketplace, sorry, stories, messenger, you can see everything. It really is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is what I wanted to show you guys, because I want to make sure that I'm giving you things that you can actually go and take action on, and that you can just see the incredible opportunity that is here. And as I say, you don't want to go copying, but it's a way that you can just see what other people are doing. And the best thing to do for this is analyze for any trends and patterns that you see. So, for example, I'll use an online store because it's what I've got shown up. If you looked at 3 of your competitors and all of their ads were carousel ads, so a carousel is such that you can see on the left-hand side of these, if all of them were using carousel ads, that would identify that they are proving the most effective and bringing through the highest return. So to save you the job of testing loads of different ad types, you could just go for carousel and know that there's a 90% chance realistically that that is what's bringing through the highest return. So go take a butcher's, go be your own little spy and see what other people are doing, and they could give you some ideas of how you can skyrocket and accelerate the growth of your brand. Now, I've rambled through that a lot quicker than I actually intended. It's my good old motor mouth. So yeah, I mean, this might be a bit too early to start going on for questions, but I've got a lot of other points that I can touch on just naturally for you guys. I put my social medias on the screen. So my Instagram is at IamJWells. I do a podcast which covers everything. You know, this is for anybody that is an entrepreneur, owns a business, you know, or is currently working in a business. But I touch on things such as mindset. You know, I touch on things such as spirituality. I've done podcasts with an 18-year-old who's in property investment, and I try cover every single area that I can, because it's all good saying like money, 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 money. But I believe unless you are really aware with everything that is within yourself, you know, the growth of your business isn't going to bring you happiness if you're not in tune with what is at home. So I push a lot of, you know, mental health stuff through there as well. And then I also have my individual YouTube channel, which has only currently got the dating video on, but this is going to be a lot of viral style content, just showing you sort of, you know, funny things that you can do with ads, just to show you the insane opportunity that there is. And then my Facebook page is JWells. So I believe now this is where we're going to go into the questions. So I can see Rosie's popping up.
Back again. Thanks so much. That was so insightful. Even I was like learning so much there. So yeah, we're going to jump into the questions. So you had some come through on your Instagram. So the first one is, what's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome?
For me, the biggest hurdle to overcome was not a direct aspect of the business, but more of, I suppose, a starting step. And it was learning to disregard social norms. And that even goes to the point of when I quit my job, because I trained as an engineer. I used to make parts of submarines, ironically. Well, not ironically, just randomly. And I had such a fear of quitting my job because of social norms and the pressures. You know, it really was sort of drilled in to me at school that so many people start a business, but that almost like 95% of them aren't successful. And I'm sorry, but now I really do think that's a bit of bullshit. And I think it is the educational system's way of pushing people to go through uni, et cetera, which is great. And, you know, I personally actually don't have a degree. So there's so many avenues that people can go into things. But I felt that if I was to quit my job, there was that huge doubt in my mind that I was going to fail. But if you let that just intrude your brain, then you will fail. And I didn't want my parents, they want the best for me, as any parents do. And, you know, they did, but they wanted me to stay in that job. And I think especially with younger entrepreneurs, it's a pressure that we really, really feel of living within what makes our parents comfortable. But you have to realize no matter what age you are, your friends and your family will always love you. And ultimately, it is your life and your journey to take. So whether it makes them feel uncomfortable, they're still always going to love you, and you have to do what is most important for you, because otherwise you'll just live a life of misery, in my opinion. If I stayed in that job right now, I would be horrific. I genuinely be horrific. So my biggest hurdle was coming to the terms of just don't even think about social norms, because what is a social norm? In effect, they differ every city that you go to, they differ every country that you go to. So no matter how big they are built up in your head, you can remove yourself out of the situation. That social norm doesn't exist anymore. So that's what I found was my biggest hurdle. Yeah,
perfect. The next question is, how can I make sure the educational content I share gets to the right people? So you kind of covered that, but if you kind of want to maybe go over it again.
Yeah, so you've got a couple of options. You can just keep on posting organically, because we put so much pressure on ourselves to have so many people see it. But at the end of the day, if you just keep on posting and you're posting things that are going to help, like it will grow. But on the flip side, you can run an engagement post, and you can do that for a couple of pounds, and you can really target who you're going to show it to. So say, for example, if I was to do a video on tips and tricks for entrepreneurs, I could show that to the interest of entrepreneurs, and then Facebook and Instagram will push it to people that are entrepreneurs. So I know that everybody that's seen that video has a potential interest to the content. And that, as I say, that can go to anything. You could be advertising dog food. You can push it to people that are interested in dogs. So it's all there through the platform.
Perfect. And then the last one through Instagram was how to find the best hashtags for newbie accounts.
See, this is going to be a bit controversial.
Okay.
I'd say don't worry about it.
Okay.
Hashtags, honestly, don't worry about them. I use hashtags myself, but I really don't overthink it. And I think, you have some really, really in-depth hashtag strategies, but I'm an advocate for paid advertising. And, I could be putting no hashtags on the picture and be making a nice amount of revenue come through, the companies that I do. Because I personally also own online stores as well as my agency. And yeah, I'd say don't worry about them. Whack a few out there, and then just sort of analyze them on a weekly basis. If you notice some posts did good, then take a look at them posts, see if they've got anything in common, see if you've used similar hashtags, and then just sort of try them out on a new post. And if it does the same, then you could sort of know to continuously go with that. But it's nothing to overthink.
Okay, perfect. I love a good hashtag, not gonna lie. Okay, so some came through on the comments. So first of all, just to confirm, you're saying that boosts are useless and ads are not. So maybe if you want to kind of go over that again.
Yeah, so a boosted post is a load of shit. A boosted post, you just don't want to do them. The reason for it, as soon as you boost a post, what you're doing is, if you used to put £10 on a boosted post, you're saying to Facebook, do everything automated with this £10, and they're just going to show it to as many people. So it might show that, 100,000 people have seen it, and you're like, whoa, that's incredible. But they're not targeted, and you lose trackability through doing a boosted post. Whereas if you do everything through the ad manager, you have full control over the ad. So the way I see it is, why would you do something half-hearted when you can have full control over it? So you could put the exact same amount in that you would to a boosted post onto an Instagram and Facebook ad through their business manager, and you'll get better results because you're in a lot more control of what is actually done with it.
Perfect. The next one is, which method for commercial publicity, Instagram or Facebook?
So that again, you cracked up on the connection.
It's which method do you prefer for commercial publicity, Instagram or Facebook?
It depends on the demographic. Really does depend on the demographic. The older generation are predominantly on Facebook still. So if you're running a business where you know that you're going to be targeting people of 30 upwards, you will get a lower cost per result from what I've found personally on Facebook. If you're looking at the younger generations, that anything 30 and below, then Instagram's going to be your platform. I think it's always good to test, because you don't want to rule anything out. If you was to run an ad you can have it show to Facebook and Instagram, and then you are able to break down how many people have clicked through each one. And then wherever you're getting the most results come from, you can start pushing it towards that. But I know I work with a lot of cosmetic clinics, and we get the best results through Facebook because of the procedures that they offer. So it's really done on the age of your demographic. But as a rule of thumb, I'd say under 30 Instagram, 30 plus, there's so much opportunity on Facebook still. And a lot of people, because Instagram's a lot newer, it's so much easier for us to think to go to Instagram.
Yeah.
Loads, like a huge untapped market on Facebook. So I definitely wouldn't rule them out. I just take into consideration the actual demographic of the people you're trying to reach.
Okay, perfect. The next is, do you have kind of any advice for your younger self, kind of looking back, if you could ask yourself or tell yourself one thing, what do you think it would be?
This is an interesting question. I mean, personally, I probably tell myself not to have spent so much money. Yeah, I don't know. This is a really intriguing question.
Mm-hmm.
I think I really do wish that I'd followed my dreams sooner. You know, that's what I would tell my younger self. To, as I say, I suppose I just wish in reality I'd had the education then to sort of understand my surroundings and understand that I could have made these decisions years before, because I stayed through my apprenticeship and I did that to please everyone around me, when in reality, you know, it's okay to be selfish. This is something that I push a lot. It's okay to be selfish. Selfish doesn't mean you're standing on other people's toes. It just means at the end of the day, you've got to prioritize your internal happiness. So my biggest advice would be to say that to my younger self, because as soon as I started doing that and I started prioritizing my internal happiness, my business naturally grew at its best rate. And it's because everything I was doing was true and authentic. You have a lot more passion about the behaviors that you do. That way you're going to get, you know, better results, because it's so easy these days to see inauthenticity, if that's the word. I'm quite no pregnant word, so I think that's the word. But it'd be to be authentic and to stay true to yourself and act upon those decisions.
Yeah, perfect. The next question is, so people often say it's about kind of who you know, but does it matter if you don't have like the right contacts when kind of starting your own business and taking that kind of first leap into, you know, self-employment?
I'd say it doesn't matter if you don't have the contacts, but it would be great to start surrounding yourself with at least like-minded individuals. So they say, I believe the quote is, you're an average of the 5 most frequent people that you hang around with. And I'm a true believer of this. You know, I associate myself with other business owners, other entrepreneurs. And it's like what I touched upon earlier, when you might start a business and your friends and family, the novelty really does wear off to them. And it's like, we're passionate about this, so you need to be around other people that are passionate on their energy. You're going to absorb it. I believe in frequencies. I did a whole podcast on this, and you know, it's been scientifically proven that the human body is effectively an antennae, and they was able to identify frequencies that our body emit due to our moods. So when we're happy, our body emits a certain frequency. When we're sad, our body emits a certain frequency. So when you're growing up and you get told, you know, don't hang around those type of people, you'll get like pulled into it. I mean, it scientifically has a basis, because if they're releasing all these negative energies, you know, we can't help what other people have going on in their life. But if you're surrounding yourself with that, your body starts to absorb it and it does affect you. So just by surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, you're surrounding yourself with them frequencies. And we've all been there, where we've walked into a room and been like, you know, I could cut the tension with a knife. And it's because the frequencies are really different in the room. Like it's incredible. So if someone doesn't currently have that group, and they want to think of some steps that they could do to start surrounding themselves with people like that, honestly, don't be afraid to reach out to people on things such as Instagram. You know, I've had people that have reached out to me, and they talk to me about some pretty personal stuff. And for anyone that's sort of got the same mentality as you, they're not gonna back you down. And if someone doesn't reply, that is in no way a reflection of you reaching out to them. Like, don't let that get you, because some people, they just get a lot of, you know, notifications, and they might not just get a chance to reply. And that is not in a malicious way at all. So I'd say don't be afraid on just reaching out to people. I've got some incredible friends that I've made purely through social media, and then we've eventually met in real life. And then I'd say you have Facebook groups that if you become a part of a community in a Facebook group, those are incredible as well. Because yet again, they're surrounded by like-minded individuals, people posting them daily, people are asking for advice. You can start even to build up a bit of a rep of yourself in that group. And then you can start pushing it out to whatever areas of your life you want it to. And another thing that I would say is this isn't to say that you have to cut off your current friendship group. Because it's good to be selfish. It's okay to have different groups that you surround yourself with that give you different things in life. You know, you can have that group where you get everything from it that you need business-wise. You can have a group that you know you can just go to and be an idiot around for a little bit, because life's about balance and you want all of those people around you still.
Yeah, definitely. So you've mentioned all these different platforms, but one of the questions that has come through is LinkedIn. So do you recommend new startup businesses or even established businesses kind of using LinkedIn as a platform to reach out to new people, new customers, or would you recommend more Instagram, Facebook?
If you're B2B, then LinkedIn is an incredible platform. I don't do much LinkedIn. I've got a LinkedIn. It's quite a spicy LinkedIn, if I do say so myself. I've got loads of endorsements and all that type of stuff. That's just my OCD trying to make everything look all good. But I haven't actually delved in it much. I've got clients through it before without actively putting any strategy in place. But yeah, LinkedIn is definitely a space for B2B. But I had an ex-girlfriend that worked in social media years ago, and you wouldn't think it, because we perceive LinkedIn to be so strictly business, but you also still actually have a lot of creeps on LinkedIn. You'd be surprised on messages that I've seen people get through LinkedIn, which is a bit mind-blowing. But I'd say experiment. You know, the only way you're going to know if Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn is going to be best what you do is to try all of them out. And you want to try them all out actively for, say, 14 days, because a common thing that I have people come to me saying is, you know, they've tried a form of outreach and it's not worked. And I'm like, well, you know, how long did you do it for? There was like, oh, I sent a couple a day for a few days. You can't get a valid result from that. You'll want to reach out to people solidly doing the same method for 14 days. And then compare that to outreach that you do, or reaching out to people, trying to connect with people in the exact same way, but on another platform. And then you can actually analyze the results, because, you know, the data is king. We might think that we have some amazing ideas and concepts ourselves, but ultimately, like, we're going to have to check the data to see what proves most effective. Yeah,
definitely. I think reaching out to, you know, as many people on different platforms is definitely the best way to go about it. I remember hearing once it was like Bill Gates reached out to like over 1,000 people before just one person, you know, give him the crowdfunding that he needed. So you never know who you could reach out to.
I reached out to someone yesterday, and the last time I touched base with them was in November 2019. Yeah. And I reached out to them yesterday. They ignored me in 2019, and yesterday they responded and they've come on board as a client.
That's good. Yeah, I mean,
and even things like email people would think like to use, but they've all got an opportunity. It's just seeing what works best for each person, because it is going to vary industry to industry.
Yeah, definitely. Another question that's come through on Facebook is the Facebook ads you were talking about free, or do they charge?
So they are. You do have to fund them. So there's not a set cost. It will be whatever you tell it to pay. So if I was to set up an ad, I could set a budget at £30 a day. If people want to know sort of a ballpoint figure for ads, realistically, if you're someone that's got an online store, you need to be putting £1,000 into ads per month start base. And I know a lot of people hear this figure and they're like, whoa, like, you know, £1,000. Yeah. Anybody will spend money if they know they're going to make money. Like that's a no-brainer. So it's normally fear that stops people doing it. If you are someone that you don't trust yourself doing the ads, then there's so many agencies out there. I don't care if people come to me or go to other people. I want everyone to be successful. So if you're someone that you don't necessarily think you can do ads yourself, then reach out to an agency. They'll show you their history. They'll show you results that they've got, and you can get them to do the ads for you. If you're a local business, you want to be putting £750 a month into the ads, because you got to think, when you break that down onto a daily spend, it's only say something like £20 a day. If you're in the cosmetic industry, you only really need 1 or 2 leads to convert to have all of the ads paid for. So in regards to a rough cost per acquisition for my cosmetic clients, I can get them leads that have varied anything from £3 a lead to £15 a lead, and those leads at £15 have conversion values of over 2,000. So if I'm getting someone come through for £15 that could convert to a treatment that costs over 2,000, the profit there is incredible. And the reason you have to sort of fund those figures is because you need to test. If, unfortunately, you know, I wish it was a case of just putting a £30 ad up and making, you know, £5,000, but if that was the case, then everybody would literally be billionaires. You know, that's not to say that it can't be cracked. Of course it can be cracked. There's strategies that can be cracked for everyone, but you have to be willing to invest. And I would say if anyone is hesitant about it, then it's just not the right opportunity for them right now. I would say if you can be okay with the worst case scenario, then things are only going to get better. And the last anyone wants is stress. So people have to truly get to a point where they are okay with that investment going forward. And if they are, then, as I say, the results that can be shown from ads is insane.
Yeah, amazing. I think.
And if anyone actually does have any questions about their businesses, if they're thinking about trying a few things, then they could just send me a message on Instagram, and I'll be able to help anyone out with any tips that I can.
I think that'll be great. I think the last kind of wrap everything up is, what would be the best start out platform for new micro businesses? Is there a good strategy to following, for example, posting, you know, how many times and where to get the attraction fast?
Okay, so it'd be Instagram and Facebook. You know, I'd say if you're just getting started, set up a business profile on Instagram, set up a Facebook page, which you can do through when you set up your Instagram account. Post every bit of content that you do on your Instagram to the Facebook page. You don't have to differentiate what you're posting, so that can automatically post from your Instagram to your Facebook. You can run a campaign to get Facebook likes. So on the interface that I showed people earlier, if you go on engagement, there's an option for page likes. So you can run an ad to gain page likes. You really don't need more than 100. I've got incredible results for pages that only had 100. And this is what I'm saying, it really is the value that you provide people with. And then you can also run a traffic ad to gain Instagram followers. Gaining Instagram followers is one of the most costly ways of growth. But your best thing to do is really just get on people's nerves, and people that you know, get them to follow your Instagram account. Honestly, just say, you know, follow this account for me, just so you've got that base number, because getting those base figures, especially if you're not pushing anything into ads straight away, can be really, really hard. An organic way that you can effectively get customers. I mean, this one's a little bit cheeky. Is, say, for example, you're doing something like lip fillers. Go on another lip filler account, click on their followers, go on those followers' pages, and comment on their pictures. Yeah. Like, it's as simple as that. And if you think that other people don't do it, then you're being a bit naive. Everybody does it. There's nothing wrong with it. And ultimately, if they like what you do better, they're going to come to you anyway. So that's just a cheeky way that people can start interacting with people if they find it hard to get the organic reach.
Yeah. I know I said that was the last question, but we have just had another one. And the last question is there a place for closed Facebook groups? And if you would recommend?
There are closed Facebook groups. I'm going to guess they're on about effectively private ones. Yeah. So some you have to pay for. If you paid for a closed group, it's normally because you've bought something, and it's like a VIP group that's included in that. I'm in some myself. This is, you know, I think you should always focus on your growth. So I'm always investing myself. But free Facebook groups are also incredible. And you have closed Facebook groups where you don't have to pay to get in. You've just got to sort of say why you want to go in there, and then they'll accept you. And what I'd say is join a few, post the same thing in several of them, and you'll be able to sort of gauge which one you want to put your focus into. And it's good because people will post things they've struggled with, because you learn more from someone's struggles, or but yeah, just struggles or things that they've done wrong, just as much, if not more, than you do from people posting what they've done right. So just start scrolling through them, closed or not. You'll be able to get some good value.
Brilliant. Well, that's all we have today. Jay, thank you so much for jumping on. That's been so insightful. I know I'm going to take away a lot of knowledge from that. And after this, we're going to be sending out kind of a overview of everything you've just spoke about. So anyone who's missed anything, don't worry, we'll kind of be recapping it. And your Instagram, YouTube, Facebook is all linked beside, so do give them a follow. And Jay, thanks again. That's brilliant.
Honestly, I know I've done my motor mouth at 100 miles an hour, but it's been amazing. I was so excited to come on. Like, my leg's been doing this under the table for the whole thing.
No, it's been absolutely great. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we will see you again soon.
And you, have a nice one.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Tania. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can, Molly. Hi.
Hello. I'm good. How have you been?
Good, thank you. How's it all been going today? Looks amazing. Brilliant lineup.
Yeah, going very well so far. Fingers crossed this one will be good.
Fantastic.
I will say hello to everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Molly, Pocket PA Angel number 3, and this is Tania Diggory, our next speaker. So Tania is the founder of Karma, author of This is Karma, and Working from Home, the complete guide to remote working, which may be helpful right now. Tania supported over 300 companies with their well-being, ran 3 businesses before the age of 30, and now holds the status of a mental health guru. My words for it. Yeah, so just before we start, I just want to say thank you for joining us today on behalf of all of Pocket PA.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here.
Most welcome. So what will you be sharing with us today?
So, hi everybody who's joining the call, the event today. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you to again Molly and Caroline and the whole team for inviting me. So I'll be sharing some perspectives around how to put you and your well-being first when you're running your own business, when you're working for yourself, because I think this is the part from personal experience of running a business for 10 years, but also from a high amount of research and just networking and understanding, you know, what the climate's really like in the business world. It's very often the case that putting yourself first before your business is easily the first thing to go, and you just look at completely what your business and what your creative ambitions need, and then you can easily end up, you know, like running yourself to the ground, overworking, and it's just so common to fall into this. So I'm hoping that today I'll share some practical exercises and tips with you all to help empower you in your working days to really prioritize your mental health and well-being alongside your business.
Perfect. All right, I'll let you take it away then.
Fantastic, thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so can everybody see this? Is that all good? Just a thumbs up, Molly, and everyone? Yeah, okay. So we're talking about how to prioritize your mental health in business today. So many of you will come from lots of different backgrounds and be here for various different reasons today. And I'm hoping that what I can share with you, like I said, will just really empower you to think about how you're setting up your time, your well-being, and making sure that your mental health is absolutely a priority today. So hopefully you can see my presentation. For some techie reason, I wasn't able to hit the play mode and it fully expand on screen, but this is the best that I could do. So we've got to roll with the punches, haven't we, and do the best that we can. So hopefully you can see that all. So what we'll be doing today is start with, we'll actually look at prioritizing and developing your mental and emotional strength. So what do I mean by this? You know, when we're looking at building our resilience, building our emotional intelligence, these are aspects that are crucially important to take time to consider, to look into, to learn more about, and to figure out what that means for you when running your business, because it's inevitable that you'll come across a variety of different challenges, as well as obviously the rewards and all the great things that come alongside, you know, running your business as well. You know, putting your own creative ambitions out there, nurturing, you know, your own big vision for what you want to create and put out into the world. You know, there's no feeling like that, and it's an incredible step to take, and not everyone wishes to be an entrepreneur or freelancer, self-employed, or run their own micro business. So it really is a very important calling, I believe, that if it's something that you feel really strongly about, you know, to really listen to that. But there's no doubt about it, it's difficult at times. It can be really challenging, and it really puts a mirror up to, you know, showing you really, you know, who you are and what your values are, and how you respond in different situations, and how you manage as you grow and develop a business. So really developing your mental health, which also links to your physical and emotional health as well, is so vitally important. So I love this little image, you know, a little bit something for everyone. You've got something for the guys, something for the girls. But, you know, just looking at that kind of heart-centered approach to managing a business, that it is sometimes a little bit of a battle between head and heart, and how do you manage that? So we'll be going through different aspects of that today. So this is a quote that I love. So it says, in the new definition of success, building and looking after our financial capital is not enough. We need to do everything we can to protect and nurture our human capital. There's something so poignant about that. I think, by Arianna Huffington, it's from her book called Thrive, which looks at 4 different pillars to nurturing your well-being in your business and in life. So, really putting well-being, your well-being first, which is so important. And, just really considering that yes, of course, you need healthy financial capital to grow and nurture your business, your creative ventures. We need money to make it, move. But at the same time, if we're neglecting and not looking at our human capital, whether it's yourself working for yourself and by yourself, or whether you have a very small team, people are what build businesses. They are what build, these creative visions, these, incredible ideas that are put out into the world. And if those people or that person are not looking after their health and well-being, if they're feeling highly stressed, overworked, burnt out, then that's going to naturally have a negative impact on the quality of your work, on the output of your work, and the overall health of your business in time. So there's only so much that we can handle as human beings when we're going through high volumes of stress. Like, yes, of course, stress is a signal to the body, and it is important to understand, when you're feeling stressed and what to do about it. But if it's ongoing for long periods of time, it's not resolved, that can really have a detrimental effect on your overall well-being and how you function in your business and in the work that you do. So I thought this was just a really poignant quote to start our journey today together as I go through this presentation. So really thinking about how we can protect and nurture our human capital individually and for those that we work with. So I would like to just share with you a little overview of mental health from the perspective of how it impacts our physical and our emotional health too. So we're hearing a lot about mental health today, aren't we? And when I say today, I mean in general, almost anywhere you turn, there's some awareness being raised around mental health, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's very much needed and it's important, right? So I actually started off my journey 10 years ago, starting off my own business. I was a one-woman band. I ran a dance school for 3 years. And then after that, I ran an international dance events company for another 3 years, which was a huge leap from, running your own business yourself to then managing a small team of people, having bigger sponsors, partnerships, venues, suppliers. We moved to a city to launch these events. It was on an international scale. So you name it, it was a huge shift. Now, I'm telling you this story because it links to what I'm talking about here. This was really, those 3 years of running my events company was perhaps the most character building time in my whole career, because it really taught me so much about the value of looking after yourself in business. So it was a fantastic period of time in my career, and I wouldn't have changed a thing because I've learned so much from it. But I went through that phase of, working way too many hours. I was consumed by the work that I was doing. I wasn't delegating effectively as well, because I really struggled with that letting go process, having just been used to running my own thing. So, working with a team, delegating effectively. And then I was going through such high levels of stress, but ongoing for long periods of time. It got to the end of the first year that we launched our festival, and I went through a period of burnout, which can be really difficult to go through and take weeks, if not months, to recover. And then I went through a period of depression and then experienced severe anxiety attacks on and off for about a year. So, I'm talking very much from a place of experience with what I'm sharing with you all today, but also from a place of empowerment as I've recovered from that. So it took me, a couple of years to really fully understand and have a grasp on what it meant to really manage my mental health and well-being whilst running a business, because that all still kept ticking along in the background, but it was really difficult and it was having an impact on what I could do. So in time, I learned how to manage my well-being. I learned more about mental health, but that was a real big wake-up call, because being a really positive person, being really proactive, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be looking after your mental health. You really do have to be putting the time aside to prioritize it as much as you are with all the other functionalities of your business. So it was a really interesting wake-up call. And having recovered from that journey, and I've written a lot about this, so you can either read it through my book or articles I've written online as to a bit more detail about my journey. I want to make sure I'm focused on what I'm here to share with you today. But after that time, I noticed a lot of people coming to me for mentoring, and they were saying things like, I'm feeling really depressed, or I'm having panic attacks, or I have PTSD, but I'm just not talking about it. Like, I don't want to tell anyone there was this almost this veil of shame that people were wearing about like actually opening up to struggling. And then that was just when it hit me, and this was the inspiration behind why I launched Karma, the training organization that I run now. So I retrained myself as an NLP practitioner. I trained through mindfulness, and I'm a mental health trainer through Mind. I'm also a mental health first aider. So through that time, I retrained, but then I also did a lot of research to find what is it that entrepreneurs and small businesses really need to support their mental health and well-being. I felt there was this need for a platform in the business world to say to people, look, it's okay to struggle. You know, we're all human. Everybody goes through struggles, and let's support each other. So that was kind of the inspiration behind it. But what I realized through those years as a business owner is that our mental, physical, and emotional health are all completely interlinked. So when we talk about mental health, when we hear about mental health, it's not like, oh, some people have mental health and some people don't. We all have mental health. It's simply a state of our mental well-being. It's how we're feeling in ourselves. And this is all one entity. There's a term in neuroscience called the mind-body connections, which essentially means that your mind has the power to either heal or hinder your body. So essentially what we think directly affects how we feel physically, and therefore also emotionally, and as a trigger effect, how we behave as a result of that. So it all connects one to the other. So when we look at this as a scale, you know, we can fluctuate up and down the scale to varying degrees with our mental health. So whether we're feeling really positive, engaged, inspired, one day things just seem to be going really well. We're feeling, you know, like we've got a good handle on things, like we're feeling empowered, and things just, you know, going really well. We don't really have many complaints. So some of you may identify with that feeling. I hope all of you do. At least, you know, at some stage in your life, you know what that feels like. So with a neutral stance, you know, sometimes you might realize that for whatever reason, you know, maybe you've got a few stresses going on, a few things that you have to sort, but it's not like there's not a big deal. You feel like you've got a general sense of control on things, but still juggling a few challenges, but feeling pretty neutral, you know, not too bad. Kind of no major complaints. So perhaps you can identify with that state as well. And then with poor mental health, do you notice how I'm describing different states of mental health? It's not just about when we struggle. So, you know, there are a lot of awareness raising stories and initiatives out there about what to do when you're struggling with your mental health. But we also need to focus on what does it mean to nurture good mental health. So it's really important to understand what it means to struggle, so that you know what to look out for and what support's available, how to help yourself. But it's also important to understand it from the scale perspective, because when you're in a state of poor mental health, you might be feeling really sad, you know, down, perhaps even quite tearful, like things aren't going as you'd expected, and like the weight of the world just feels on your shoulders. Can we all identify with that feeling? I'm sure we can. It's a very natural, normal human experience too. But it doesn't mean that you have a mental health problem, that you're depressed, or that you have an anxiety disorder, because it's actually very common to experience a state of feeling depressed or a state of anxiety, where you're feeling that knot in your stomach, when you're feeling, you know, an increase in heart rate, when you feel sweaty or shaky or overwhelming thoughts. They're all human experiences, and actually every single person in the world has experienced feelings of anxiety or feelings of depression from time to time. It doesn't define you as a human being. And the question really comes into, you know, how long do you end up being in that state of depression or anxiety for a long period of time without speaking to someone, without getting help and support? Then it can develop into a mental health problem, right? So it is this scale, but understanding that we all go through difficulties, we all go through struggles, and actually trying to prevent things from escalating when you recognize that you're not in a great place is so, so important to ensure that you can get the support and help that you need, and learn how to bounce back and build your resilience and take learnings forward with you. Now, I appreciate sometimes it's very difficult to identify your feelings, your emotions, especially when things feel overwhelming and you've got so much going on. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about that today as well. But just bearing in mind that the more we can become self-aware in ourselves and know ourselves on a deeper level, the more it will be a bit easier for us to spot and identify those signs of high stress, perhaps feelings of anxiety, etc., and knowing when we need to stop, take a pause, take a breather, and take a step back, so that we can get the help and support that we need. So I hope that that's a helpful perspective for you, thinking about our mental, physical, and emotional state as a fluctuation, and each day can change from day to day, you know, and it's all part of the human experience. So I'm going to share with you some tips for how you can navigate and manage everyday challenges that may crop up in your business, and when you're going through your work, your working day. How can you actually take steps to nurture good mental health through talking and writing. So I'm going to explore and unpick this in a little bit more detail, but just a few quick takeaways for you to consider. The language that we say to ourselves and others is incredibly powerful. Language has meaning. Words have weight. They are incredibly meaningful, and they can change people's minds. You know, if you think about some of the most impactful speakers in our time across our history, you know, they had the power, whether it's through, you know, good or not so good intentions, but to impact the lives of so many millions of people, thousands, millions, whatever scale we're talking about. But, you know, there's actually been research to show that neurologically speaking, when we're listening to stories, when we're taking in what speakers are sharing with us, it has the influence or the potential to impact the way that we think moving forward. You know, so really never underestimate the impact of your thoughts, of the words that you say to yourself and others, right? So I'll talk about why talking and writing in a minute. But just a few takeaways here with that in mind around the language we say. First thing is the HALT method. So this is a very popular method used in a variety of different therapies. And it's a simple question you can ask yourself. If you're feeling highly stressed, if you're struggling, if you're feeling anxious and you don't know what to do, giving yourself permission to pause and take a step back and ask yourself this question can make a very important difference. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? What we're doing here is just looking at the very fundamental, important basics of human needs, right? If you're feeling hungry, that very well may affect your mood, right? As some people like to use the term hangry, right? So if it's affecting how you feel, am I hungry? Do I need to have some food? Do I need a drink? Do I need to take a breather? Am I feeling angry? You know, am I feeling emotionally charged? Do I need to take a step back to really assess what's going on here? Am I feeling lonely? Lonely can have a huge impact on how we feel and how we behave. You know, do I need to just take time to connect with someone who's important to me and to lift my spirits? And am I tired? You know, we don't have time to get into this today, and I could do a whole seminar on sleep and the importance of sleep. But, you know, our sleep time has a huge impact on our overall well-being, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So how have I been sleeping recently? Have I been getting enough sleep? For me, you know, it's different for everyone, but the average recommended, you know, time is between 7 to 8 hours a night. And it's not necessarily about the quality over the quantity overall. It is about the quality. So what quality sleep am I getting? So the HALT method is one thing that you could start with just as a way to engage in your basic human needs. Then a few questions that you could ask yourself, you know, if you're facing a challenge in your business or with an individual who you're talking to, ask yourself, have I understood this correctly? You know, we all filter in information and take things in our own unique way. We're all completely unique individuals and we see the world in our own way. So there's some times where when we filter in information, it may have an impact on how we've understood something. We may have misinterpreted somebody's intentions. It's always worth just double checking and, you know, even asking the person again, can you just repeat that? Have I actually understood what you've said? And if, you know, your instincts are right, then you go from there. But if you have misunderstood something, it's important to correct that. You know, what is the wider context? Is it something that is very, you know, focused on one thing, or is there a bigger picture at hand here? If somebody is seeming in distress who you're speaking to, considering, is there a wider context to what they're going through, not just what their reaction is in this moment as I'm talking to them, right? Can I see this in a different way? You know, perspective is very important. And when we go through high levels of ongoing stress, that can affect and impair our cognitive skills in the brain in terms of our ability to think clearly, to communicate clearly. It can affect our working memory, our concentration levels, etc. So just think, okay, how am I exercising perspective? Can I see this in a different way? And with perspective, it is just that. It's thinking, right, could I look at it in this way? Could I look at it in that perspective? Rather than just a tunnel vision, I can only see this in my way. And if it's being detrimental to whatever situation you're in, it's perhaps important to take a step back and consider, looking at this in a different way, could that help me and help the person who's involved or whatever the situation is? I notice I'm feeling. This is a very kind way of communicating with yourself. Simply taking notice without judgment, you know, with an attitude of curiosity and kindness to yourself. So taking that step back to think, rather than I am stressed or I am anxious, that I am mentality can lead to you defining yourself in that way. Like, you're not an anxious person, you're not a stressed person. You're feeling that way in this moment for a valid reason. So let's look at it. So I notice, I'm simply taking notice of what I'm feeling here, and this is telling me, etc. Right? So it's that kind language to yourself that can help alleviate stress levels as well. So taking notice is one of the acts of mindfulness practice, really. So take notice of how you feel and what choices do I have in this situation. you know, when we're feeling in a disempowered place, it can be very easy to lose sight of the fact that we have choice. And we are making big and small choices every day in our lives, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. So from the small things to getting up in the morning to make the decision to get up at a certain time and get ready and get on with your day, to the bigger decisions that you're making in your business, whether it's through investment, whether it's strategy, whether it's marketing, etc. Right? So you're always making choices. So please never lose sight of the fact that you do have a choice in whatever situation you're in. Now, whether you can actually physically change something or you have a sense of control over something, or you may not be able to control a certain situation or the outcome, but you can take steps to control your response in that situation. And that is also making a choice. So never underestimate that as well. Like, what choice am I making, either in my mindset and my approach to this, or can I physically change something, and can I choose to do something different to help me? I hope that's all making sense and that there's been some helpful takeaways for you. So just to give you a bit of an understanding around the neuroscience of why it's so important to talk or write about our feelings and our experiences when we go through challenges. So when we're going through something difficult, and we've got a lot of internal dialogue going on, when we actually speak about it to somebody or when we write it down, not only that can be quite a therapeutic practice, it's a letting go process, but it also helps create clarity, and it creates something tangible that you can work with, versus having this internal dialogue whirring around in your mind and it's starting to manifest physically, emotionally in your body. So, you know, this is something so important to bear in mind. If it's just internal, you know, then where's that going to escalate? Whereas when you let go, when you put it out there, when you speak about it, when you write it down, this is that creates tangibility. You've got something written down that you can look through, that you can be a bit more logical about, and see what you can maybe do or what help you need. Or when you speak to someone, you know, actually getting it off your chest, having that weight lifted. That whole adage, a problem shared is a problem halved, right? You know, so speak to someone and get it out there. You know, it's not to say you have to, you know, decide exactly what you need to do in that moment. But what I'm saying is it's a powerful first step forward, because then you can start to take steps about, okay, what else do I need? Or what is the next step I'm going to take? So this graph that I have here to show you, I'll just very briefly take you through the neurological aspect of what happens. So when we do this, when we're going through stress, our stress response lives in the amygdala part of our brain. So it's a very small, as you can see, but powerful part of our brain, right? So never underestimate the power of it, because its primary intention and the purpose of this part of our brain, which is really the emotional center of our brain too, its primary focus in the stress response is to keep us safe and away from danger. It's a very primitive response in the brain, and it's actually the oldest part of our brain too. So, you know, our brain might register something that's threatening, dangerous, or stressful, but it's all relative, right? And we're experiencing different types of stresses these days versus, you know, running away from a saber-toothed tiger. Okay, so you guys, you may have heard of the phrase the fight, flight, or freeze response. Yeah, so this means this is the automatic mode that your brain kicks into gear about when you are feeling stressed, right? So you either fight it, as in you face the challenge head on, you do something about it, you take action, or you flight, as in you run away from the situation, you retreat, pretend it's not happening, or you freeze on the spot, you don't know what to do, you feel stuck, right? So that's the kind of automatic responses that we have. Close to the amygdala part of the brain is an area called the hippocampus. Now, this is the part of the brain that is responsible for regulating your feelings and emotions, but it also is where your working memory is stored. So remember when I said earlier that if you're going through high levels of stress, it can impact your cognitive skills, it can affect your working memory. So if the stress response is firing off too much, the hippocampus struggles to do its job, right? But when you're writing things down, when you're speaking to someone, what happens is they start to work in tandem together. So you start to essentially turn the dial down a bit on the amygdala part of the brain, that fiery stress response. The hippocampus starts to do its job in terms of processing, regulating your emotions, your experience. So when you name your emotional experience, it starts to enable those parts of the brain to work in tandem. But most importantly, it helps bring resources back into the prefrontal cortex, which is here, the frontal lobe part of the brain, which is also known as the human part of the brain, so not as reactive, right? But it helps you with your decision-making skills, your logical thinking, planning, doing part of the brain. It's so important to try and do whatever you can to enable these three parts of the brain to work together rather than having the stress response fire up. Because research in neuroscience has shown that if we're going on high levels of stress ongoing for long periods of time, that's when we can lead to potentially burnout, physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted. And we're not designed to be stressed out human beings. Our natural state is actually peaceful. Like, you know, it's external circumstances and things that we go through in our lives that can create and trigger that stressful response, right? But actually, we're not designed to be in that state for a long period of time. And actually, neuroscientific research has shown that high levels of stress for a long period of time can actually start to shift and change the shape of your brain. But with that note, our brain is very adaptable and it's designed for change. So just as much as it can change due to stress response, when you manage that stress response, it can also shift and change back, right? So that's, again, a very brief, basic overview of hopefully helping you to understand just how important it is in terms of the brain aspect and the impact on your mind, your mental health, your well-being overall, how important it is to really focus on managing that stress response. So, you know, there are various different ways and symptoms that stress can show up. I mentioned a few before, but whether it's in your moods, whether it's in your stomach response, you know, our brain and our digestive system share similar chemicals. So, you know, the brain and gut link is incredibly interconnected. So if we're feeling anxious and got a lot of worrying thoughts, it can impact our digestive system. We can experience increased heart rate. We can experience difficulty in our breathing. You know, we can feel hot and cold. There's lots of different signals that our body will send to us, right, when we're not feeling great. So just pay attention to those signals and never be afraid to just ask for help. It actually shows a lot of strength when you acknowledge vulnerability and that you need support, because the alternative isn't so great, is it? You know, think about where that could lead you. So just have a moment to think about what is your story, because we all have our own unique stories, right? There's not one person in this world that's the same as someone else, right? So we're all completely unique and we all have our own stories. And I just want to give you an opportunity here to really honor your story and think about how far you've come to get to this point, and just to remind yourself of that when you are going through challenges as well. You know, we can be very unkind to ourselves sometimes and be very hard on ourselves and sometimes be our own worst critic. And if you think about how you speak to yourself sometimes, would you say the same to a friend if they were in a similar situation asking for help? Very unlikely, no, right? But for some reason, when it comes to us, we think, oh no, I should be able to cope, or I should do this, or I should just move forward. And we start shoulding all over ourselves, right? So just think about that. You know, how am I being kind to myself? You know, am I being unrealistic in the expectations I'm setting? And just think about your wide story that you have, the breadth of story that you have, and just how much strength and bravery it takes to run a business in the first place. Let's also just take a moment to, you know, pat ourselves on the back about that. Okay. So do please remember that too. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about kindness. So I just started mentioning that in terms of kind self-talk and how we can sometimes be unkind to ourselves. And just to give you a bit of research around why kindness is important and how this plays into the vital importance of looking after and nurturing good mental health and well-being in business. Kindness plays a huge part in that. Being kind to yourself and kind to others reaps multiple benefits. So I would highly recommend looking into research led by Dr. David Hamilton. He is a key figure in the space of neuroscience research in understanding the placebo effect and the impact of the scientific impact of kindness on the mind and the body, etc. So just a few takeaways here. When you are kind, the feeling of kindness releases what he calls a cardioprotective hormone. And this is known as the kindness hormone, but also the love, cuddle, and hug hormone. It's called oxytocin. It's what's released when we are feeling good, right? When we've been kind, when we're having a hug, that natural antidepressant. But this hormone release also reduces blood pressure in your body. So it's good for the heart. This is a really good example of the mind-body connection. So your thoughts impact physically how you feel and what's going on in your body. Number two, the act of being kind also reduces aging. That's good, isn't it? And boosts your immune system, even to the extent that when we're watching acts of kindness, it produces mental and physical benefits, right? And finally, when you intentionally do acts of kindness, it makes you feel happier, which as a result can lead to improved relationships with others in your life too. So these are just a few things to bear in mind. So when we think about kindness, I want to give you a few more takeaways of how you can be kind to yourself in your working days. And this centers around the first hour of your day. What you do with that first part of your day from when you're waking up can really set the tone for the rest of your day. So for example, if the first thing you do is pick up your phone and just switch on the news and you're seeing lots of, you know, really like horrifying stories or really negative stories, what impact is that having in your brain, in your mind, in your body first thing in the day, right? So we are all potentially, you know, like we all have perhaps a tendency to be checking the news at the moment, especially with what's going on right around the world. And it's important to keep up to date with the news. But, you know, have a think about when in the day is an appropriate time for you to check in and update with that, whether it's on social media or otherwise, right? So we've actually written a blog about this as well. So you're welcome to have a look on our blog on our website about how to manage news anxiety. So with that in mind, just thinking of the first hour of your day, and this is a little excerpt from, well, some takeaways from our working from home guide. So that first hour, think about what's going to empower you for a positive day ahead. Now, especially as what the working world has changed so much during the worldwide pandemic, people are working from home now. A lot of people anyway, who have work that they can deliver from home. Now, if you're in that situation, think about what it would have been like before the pandemic. Would you have been commuting? Would you have been traveling at that first part of the day? What did you usually do in the first part of the day before this all happened? We've all gained time back in this context in different ways. And so if we can't dedicate just 1 hour out of 24 in one day to this, then just have a question about, well, why is that? Or what expectations do I put on myself to not allow myself this? How am I not giving myself permission to just allow 1 hour, which includes your breakfast time, you know, and just time for nurturing your mind and body, just to really be mindful of how I want to set the tone and my intentions for the day ahead, okay? So this could be eating nutritious foods. We are what we eat as well. So think, what are you taking in your body that's going to help you feel energized for that day? Reading a book or something inspirational that's going to actually nourish the mind and help you feel positive for the day ahead as you go into your working day. Writing your intentions for the day can also be a great way to do this. So having a gratitude journal or just journaling your thoughts in general, writing down, you know, what you want for the day ahead, what you want for the week ahead. Again, your brain registers this, right, in your mind. All of this sends a feedback loop in the brain, right? What you think consciously sends a feedback unconsciously in the brain to sink it in as truth and to really, you know, pay attention to those intentions. So think about that. Movement, whether it's a walk, a vigorous exercise, or a gentle yoga practice, but, you know, feeling physically well also improves our mental health. Spending time outdoors, getting in nature, being around green spaces if you can. You know, getting fresh air in your lungs, all of that contributes to good overall well-being. But also when we're in nature, even if it's just in your garden or popping out around the block, you know, it helps us to feel good in ourselves as well, because, you know, when we're around nature, it reminds us of the cycle of life, of how change is, you know, a natural process in life. There's a lot of, you know, stories around how nature, you know, is very metaphorical in many ways. So it helps us connect to, you know, to our truth and to what's natural process in life, right? Meditation, for those of you who are fans or would like to get involved with that, you know, taking this time, even if it's just a few minutes, you know, just to meditate and to breathe properly, to allow our bodies the correct amount of breath and oxygen that it needs to be effective for the day ahead. And just to have that mind, peace of mind, quiet, just connect with the present moment, because that's what we really have. You know, the past is the past. We can't predict the future. We can anticipate and plan, but what we really have is the here and now. Speak to someone you love. You know, we thrive on connecting with other people, other like-minded people. We are social beings in our nature. So, you know, giving time to others is also very important, whether that's within this 1 hour or another time in the day. But these are all just ideas, or something else entirely that's not on this list that for you really lifts your spirits and helps set a positive tone for your day. So think about your 1 hour of the day. Now, this is all leading into the bigger picture of self-awareness, okay? The more we can be self-aware, the better for us overall with our well-being and our health in general. It's a journey. It's not a destination to reach somewhere and be like, I'm completely aware of myself and I will never struggle again. It's like, you know, it's about becoming kinder to ourselves, acknowledging whatever it is that we go through on a day-to-day basis with that attitude of curiosity and kindness, and just learning about ourselves on a deeper level and learning to love ourselves. You know, as cheesy as it may sound, you know, you've got to love yourself first before, you know, like putting love out there into the world, because it's what we project anyway. So self-love and self-care, self-awareness is so, so important, because that is projected in everything that you do. This is just, I love this photo. So this is an example of how many companies are, you know, paving the way now for best practices in mindfulness meditation as a culture in their workplace. Now, this is the team at Headspace. So for those of you who know that app, Headspace, it's no wonder that this is how they start their day. But they really do role model to a lot of companies as well. You know, the importance of starting off your day with setting your intentions, with getting quiet, with connecting to the here and now. And, you know, I work with a lot of organizations that are really embracing these practices as a way to support their mental health and well-being. So this is a quote I love that just brings all of this together, really, by Dr. Rahul Jandial. So he's a best-selling author, author of the book Life Lessons from a Brain Surgeon, and he's a neuroscientist, neurosurgeon. So he's performed thousands of hours of surgery, brain surgery, and from his perspective, so it's very scientific backed, right? But his research is very scientific backed, but he says that meditative breathing is your built-in medication where the electrical storms in your mind are quietened. Something so poetic about that phrase, I find. So it's just something for us to bear in mind and to think about after this today. A couple of minutes of quiet can give you a chance for perspective. Nurturing your perspective means that you're nurturing and managing the stress levels and nurturing good mental health. Okay, so a few things I'd like to leave you with before we round up. So the Reignite project is a free campaign that we set up at Karma that you are welcome to get involved in. It's our big mission over a 5-year period to reduce the issue of burnout in professionals by 10% by 2023. So in the UK market, just under 6 million small businesses in the UK, 10% of that, 600,000 people. That's how many people's lives we want to impact through this campaign. So really, please do feel free to take a look, get involved, share. You know, you'll receive, by signing up, you'll receive an ambassador pack giving you tips on how you can get involved and how you can spread the word. But also what's most key is that you'll receive a 10-week free e-course providing burnout prevention strategies. So this is all free to sign up, so you've got nothing to lose. If you've liked what you've heard today, you know, we provide more of this, and especially we're incredibly passionate about preventing burnout from taking over the lives of so many professionals, and you know, burnout is at an all-time high. This is something we do need to acknowledge. Stress and burnout. You know, stress is the leading cause of physical illness at the moment, the mind-body connection again. So, you know, understanding these things means we can do something about it, right? So burnout prevention strategies is a big part of what we do in our courses and our online products. So please do feel free to take a look. And just to give you a few examples of some of the blog titles that we've got that may be of interest to you too, you can find it all on our blog page. 5 Stages of Burnout, that's our highest ranking blog. I think it's got like thousands of views on that. It just shows a lot of people are searching for this content that takes you through the different stages and how you can help yourself. Managing stress, creating a self-care plan for yourself, practicing mindfulness at work, and how to be more kind. So feel free to take a look. And like I said earlier as well, if you'd like to, particularly now, take a look at our latest blog around news anxiety. We've got that online too. So thank you all so much. And as I always say in my presentations, here's to your inner and outer success. What does this mean? It's not just what people see on the outside, but it's what's inside that counts too. So really do take steps to look after yourself in the best way that you can. You know, it's so important. And finally, a few things for you to stay connected with us. We're giving away, especially for this webinar here, a free copy of our Working From Home guide. You can just use the code lockdownlearning_100 on our website. So this is karma.com/WHF-guide, and then you'll receive a free copy. This is valid until the 12th of June. So do feel free to grab your copy of that. You can enjoy a 10-day free trial on our Karma Community membership platform. We provide a whole suite of wellbeing resources that you can access 24/7, from audio meditations to breathwork and yoga videos, wellbeing recipes for healthy living, and much more. We also have a Karma Hour community online meetup each week where you can connect with like-minded people. You can check more inspiration, insights, and research on our blog, and you can connect with us on social media at This Is Karma and at Tania Diggory. So thank you very much. I hope you found that really useful.
Amazing. Thank you, Tania, so much. Okay. I think we have 10, 15 minutes for some questions, if that's okay.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. I think we've got one on Facebook here by Brian. So where and how would you signpost someone you're working with to seek out help with their mental health when you see signs that they might need some support, especially men?
Yes, okay, that's a really good question. Thank you, Bren. So for men, there's a wonderful charity called CALM, and it stands for Campaign Against Living Miserably. They are set up specifically to support men's mental health, and they support men of all ages and backgrounds, empowering them to talk, to share, to open up if they need support. So that's a really great signposting for men's mental health. If you're working with someone and you get a sense that they're struggling, first of all, just if you feel comfortable, if you feel it appropriate to just open up a conversation with them and ask how they're doing, it's amazing the impact that can just have for someone recognizing and acknowledging that they don't see themselves, or it seems like they might need help, and someone to say to them, like, it's fine if you are, and I'm happy to listen to you if you want. But obviously be mindful for yourself of what may come back or what they might share, and just remember, you're not there to be a counselor or a therapist, etc. So signposting is really important. So from that, signposting to, I would always recommend Mind as well. They're a wonderful charity. They have a lot of resources online that people can access, but they have a helpline, that you can also ring up and speak to someone objectively about what you're going through. The key thing is just to take one step, and usually that talking, just speaking to someone, makes a huge difference. Whilst we're not a clinical company, of course, do feel free to share our link. We are a prevention-based company, so we support people, especially if they are feeling really stressed or struggling or concerned if they are burning out, then we have a lot of resources that can help them as well.
Would you suggest going to your website or your social medias? Yes,
website. You can contact us if you have a specific question on the contact page, but we have the Reignite project with our e-course. We have our Facebook group, Karma Professionals, as well, if they wanted to join a community and just connect with people. And we've got obviously a lot of benefits on our membership platform. But yes, that would be the first port of call for people.
Amazing, thank you.
No worries.
Got a few more questions. So I think this is more to do with starting your own business. What were your biggest challenges when starting a business, and how did you overcome them?
Biggest challenges, I think it's a time management thing, as I think it is with a lot of people who start their business. It's, like I said earlier, it can be very common to just focus on what the business needs, and you have this big vision, passion, and no one can replicate that. That's from you, that vision that you have, and that can overtake in a way. But what's so important is to navigate between different mindsets, because like when you're looking at a business model, it's that big picture entrepreneur thinking, that visionary thinking. That is so important, but to a point. You also need to be spending time on the technicalities of your business, of the management of it, but also yourself and how you're managing your health and well-being. So that was the biggest challenge for me. It was time. I was just trying to do way too many things all the time and juggle all the different business hats. And that's something I refer to in one of my books, This is Karma, how many business hats we have, and that we're trying to navigate. So when you get to a point where you can recruit help or just accept help from people in the beginning, that's another thing. I was very resistant to accepting a lot of help, and I realized just like now, obviously, how vitally important that is, and just how many people are really willing to help a really great idea and someone who has a great vision. Like, some people would genuinely be happy to volunteer their time, or you can exchange with them. You can say, look, I can do this for you if you can help me with this. Because what we can really struggle with as well as entrepreneurs is getting sucked up into the things that really drain our energy. Like, for example, if you can't stand admin or accounts, and it just completely drains you, but you feel swamped in it, like having somebody who can just support with aspects of that can alleviate some of that pressure, and it doesn't feel so challenging, right? So that's the thing I'd say. Overcoming that was taking time to reflect. As I mentioned in my story earlier, that going through burnout, anxiety attacks, etc. That whole period was the real reflection time for me to get to know myself on a deeper level and understand, like, how did I want to design my business around my lifestyle as well? Because your work is one strand of your life. Don't forget that. As much as it's important to nurture your career path, you are still one person. There's only so much time in a day, and there's only so much you can give. So really early on, starting to, as early on as you can, but you can do this anytime, right? If you recognize you need to do this, take time to reflect, because reflection is so important as well. Think, what have you been learning? Where have you come? Where are you going? What makes sense moving forward? But think, how do I want to design my days, my business that enables me to still have a lifestyle around my work and do the things that are important to me and nurture my well-being too. I hope that answers the question.
That is perfect. Thank you. We've got some time for some more, I think.
Thank you, Eve, for that. I'm glad you enjoyed. Thank you, Roger.
So yeah, do you have any TV, because we're all stuck indoors at the moment, so I suppose, do you have any TV, podcast, book recommendations that could either empower you or help to maybe like resolve some mental health that's going on at the moment, anything like that?
Yeah, to keep it simple, I'll recommend one per channel that you've talked about, because there's lots that I could recommend. But in terms of TV, I'm a huge fan of Brené Brown. I don't know if everybody knows who I'm talking about here, but she's an incredible researcher in the field of vulnerability and understanding the link between shame, courage, and vulnerability. Now, essentially, you can't be vulnerable without actually having courage to go alongside that, because it takes a lot of courage to just be vulnerable and be yourself, right? And say if you're struggling. But so she's fantastic. She's done TED Talks, but she's got this documentary on Netflix, if everyone has a Netflix subscription on here, or perhaps try the free trial so you can watch this documentary. It's called The Call to Courage. So it's a talk about courage, and that just rings true for whatever stage you're at in your life, in your business. So she's wonderful, very inspiring to listen to. In terms of a podcast, I was interviewed once on The Entrepreneur Way by Neil Ball, and that's a really great podcast, especially for this audience here today. So if you're working for yourself, he interviews lots of different entrepreneurs in various stages in their career about their journey. So The Entrepreneur Way is a great podcast. There are lots of great ones, but like I said, I'm keeping it streamlined and simple for you today. And in terms of a book, I'm actually reading one at the moment that's brilliant. It's called Everything is Figure-outable. Ooh. How great is that? As a philosophy, you know, it's great, but it feeds into any part of your life, like anything that you're going through, you can figure it out. That's the philosophy, and that's by Mary Forleo. So that's a really great book too. Very easy to read, but lots of really great tips and takeaways, and she does loads of exercises in the book. It's just really empowering. So
relevant. Could it be relevant to pretty much anyone's situation of any age? And
yep. Anyway, she's a business owner herself. She's come from like a background where she worked so hard to, like, studying and getting to where she is, through waitressing, through going through all these different kinds of career paths to get to where she is now, and like, really, really successful business owner with her own podcast. That's another podcast if you wanted to look out her stuff. So she really talks about from grassroots to where you are now. So very inspiring for the entrepreneur to read. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. That's very relatable.
Pleasure.
Let's see what we have next. Okay, so your book, Working from Home. I suppose there's a lot of people who can relate to just that sentence. What top tip would you have, I suppose, from that book that could be beneficial for people in this current situation, really?
Sure. So there's something to be said about the pacing of your day. And how you're actually pacing your day, because there's always going to be a huge to-do list, right? But you're not going to get through all of it in one day. There will always be stuff to do, and we can have this tendency to just keep going through that list. But actually, if you work out what your priorities are and just give yourself like a number and say, like, today the only things that I need to do are between like these 3 to 5 things. There's a tip I heard once, I can't even remember where I got it from, but it was called the must-do list. So you have a to-do list, you create a must-do, but you only do the must-do stuff on that day. If you finish early and you want to go on to something else, great. If not, maybe take a bit of time out for yourself. Like, there's no shame in doing that too, and just having time for yourself. But that pacing is so important. And I think, we're all at home a lot of the time now, and a lot of days can feel like they're blending into one. But just try to design your day in a way where you're pacing it in a way that works for you, and giving yourself permission to take breaks in the day, because that's a really easy trap to fall into as well. Like, if you're at your desk, you're at home, you can just keep going and going and going, and working through breaks, working through, like lunch, etc. But just remembering that actually through breaks, like, our brains need breaks, like, in order to optimally function. So we're kind of depriving the natural order of how our brain works by just depriving it of any breaks. Like, we need time to reflect, we need time to switch off, we need time for ideas to come to mind. And if it's constantly full with things that we're doing, that those break times can actually help us reflect more. So that pacing and taking breaks is 2 like top tips that I would give.
Perfect. Thank you, Tania. I think we have a few more minutes for some more questions. I suppose this was a bit of a fun one. In one sentence, what would you say to somebody who wants to start their own business?
One sentence. Oh my god. What a question. I think I'm probably repeating myself here, but let me try and say it succinctly. design your business that enables you to nurture a lifestyle around your business.
Like
kind
that.
of, yeah, because that's so important, and it's so easy to just like miss that out and just think, right, I want to do this, I want to start a business, I want to do my own thing, and this is what it needs. And you just go off on one about what that really needs. So yeah. Oh,
perfect. We're going to definitely use that quote in the summary. Amazing. And final question, I suppose it's more of an opportunity to kind of like plug anything that you've got coming up, but yeah, do you have anything that we as viewers could be looking out for?
So apart from the things I shared at the end of my presentation, you know, as sort of like follow-up ways to keep in touch with us, we're sort of working on our next event at the moment, but I'm doing webinars like this still. We're collaborating with our partner charity, which is Be Kind Movement, in a few weeks, and they've got a film screening about kindness, and we're talking about changing the world through kindness, one bit at a time, or one itsy bit at a time is the actual phrase, because Itsy is the name of the film. So yeah, and I'll be interviewing her. So that's I think the next main event that we're doing in collaboration, but you can keep up to date on our events on the events tab on our website as well. So we announce things on social media, but you know, if you want to sign up to our mailing list, then you get sort of like weekly or bi-weekly updates. I say bi-weekly or weekly because at the moment we're really mindful of the amount of information people are being sent and that people are receiving. So we tend to do more bi-weekly at the moment, just to kind of help people feel calmer, right? That's our goal.
It can be overwhelming. I completely understand. I said that was the last question, but there is one more. What has been your most rewarding part of setting up Karma, and what do you enjoy most working for yourself?
Oh wow, that's a great
big one to end with.
Yeah. The first part of that, can you just repeat?
Yeah, of course. What has been your most rewarding part of setting up Karma?
Okay, most rewarding part, I think, was identifying the need for this. You know, it's very rewarding to very consistently get feedback from people in our community or people who hear about what we do or find out about us, that consistently say this is really needed, you know, and that we're one of the few really, you know, organizations who are supporting entrepreneur mental health and for the small business owner and small business teams. So that's rewarding to know that we're making a difference, you know, in a world where, you know, mental health has a huge amount of awareness around it, but specifically for mental health with businesses, I feel like we're really making our mark with that. And the second question?
And the second question was, so what do you enjoy most for working for yourself?
For me, it is that, you know, lifestyle aspect. I think, you know, it's taken me a while to get to this point, which is, of course, you know, part of why I do what I do now and helping others achieve the same. But, you know, I love the fact that I can design my days around making the difference that's really important to me on a bigger level than just me. It's like we're trying to make a big impact here. But, you know, it's that, you know, you get to a point where you've been running your business for so long that you feel like I'm basically unemployable now. Like I'm not really going to go out and be employed by, you know, people, you're like the CEO. Yeah, exactly. So it's your own business. So it's that idea that, you know, kind of keeping your hand on the pulse, you know, or finger on the pulse, whatever that phrase is, that, you know, if you are going to have challenging days, thinking to yourself, why am I doing this? Like always coming back to the why, like remind yourself. And a question that I often ask myself as well, if I am having a difficult day, is would I rather be doing anything else? Like, I've never answered anything other than no, I want to be doing this, you know. So that's also quite empowering as a kind of reflection point. But it's just getting to the place where I manage to work out my days in a way where I don't beat myself up if I've not got everything done that I don't need to. You know, I understand that there's always going to be priorities of things. And actually a balanced life is a happy life, you know, so I make time for my family, friends, you know, projects that are important to me, you know, well-being initiatives and activities, staying healthy and well alongside my business. And then that also, you know, reminds me that I'm, you know, walking the walk, you know, as well for people. Like I try to live what I help people to do. So, and that in itself is one of the best parts of running business. It's, you know, it's having that balance and creating and designing your life around your business too.
Do you have like normal working days, would you say, like working hours and stuff? So you're able to fit everything in, but or is it kind of like it's a bit more mixed than it would?
Every week is different, but what I say is, as a culture at Karma and within our team, we discourage working beyond 6 where possible in the week. You know, and if we do an evening event, or if we have something in the evening, it's a conscious choice that we've made as an empowered choice, rather than being, oh, I shouldn't do that. It's like, well, as an exception, I'll do this because I really want to, or it's a great opportunity. But it's what is the exception rather than the rule? You know, that can be a helpful takeaway as well. It's like, rather than the rule being, oh, I work way into the evenings every day, it's like, okay, rather that be an exception once in a while. And also having weekends, you know, just as sacred. You know, we don't even post on social media on weekends, so that's another way that we role model. So it's, you know, taking evenings and weekends as your sacred time, and then, you know, you do your work during the days. But yeah, the hours vary, the actual content and what we're doing varies. Which makes it also a beautiful part of running a business, right? Every day is different.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think that will sum up everything. I think we should be able to have a little banner, I think just with your Instagram at, basically just saying that's where to follow Tania for any more of her work. So this is Karma is the Instagram at.
This is karma.com website, and it's at This Is Karma or at This Is Tania. This is Tania. This is Tania. No, at Tania Diggory. Thanks for that helpful slide again. I'm on Twitter, but we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as This Is Karma. So
perfect. Thank you again, Tania, for talking to us today. It's been so helpful. If everyone has subscribed to the newsletter, you'll be getting just basically like a little preview of everything that was spoken about today. Cool. I think we are taking a break now. Yeah, we're taking a break until 1:30. So yeah, have some food, everyone. Chill out, and we'll join you again soon. Thank you again, Tania.
Thank you so much for having me here, and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. It's a brilliant event, and well done again to you guys for putting this on. It's really, really needed.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.